a great season for one driver in particular, the man who pilots car number 9, Bill Elliott. The Daytona 500, the very first race of the season. Bill Elliott let everyone know there was a new superstar in this sport. Later at Talladega, he made up over 4 miles in part 2 of the Winston Million. There was more to come. Labor Day, Darlington, South Carolina, Elliott with one final shot at NASCAR's biggest payday. Elliott handled unbelievable pressure and drove to his 10th victory of the season. But with $1 million in hand, Elliott's season has come apart. Problems have plagued car number 9 all through the month of September. Elliott has had frustration and dejection written on his face. Elliott's misfortunes have put Darrell Waltrip in the limelight.
God dang, I love it!
You gotta love Waltrip's consistency, and no one could have been more consistent Memorial Day weekend. He won the Winston, the richest race per mile in motorsports history. And the very next day, he won the World 600. Momentum is on Waltrip's side. Elliott wants it back. Will he get it today? One small battle in the war that is the Miller 500. Welcome to the Charlotte Motor Speedway as Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions brings you exclusive coverage of NASCAR's Fall Classic, the Miller 500. NASCAR's championship is on the line. 40 of the world's fastest drivers are holding nothing back. Today's race is brought to you by GM Goodwrench Performance Parts. No one knows your GM car better than GM Goodwrench Performance Parts. No one. By Miller Beer. Purity you can see, quality you can taste. Miller, made the American way since 1855. By Skoal Long Cut, the smokeless tobacco that makes it easy to enjoy tobacco without lighting up. Comes in mint and wintergreen, easy to use, great taste. That's Skoal Long Cut. And by Goodyear, makers of the Eagle, the high-performance radial engineered for cars with the proper qualifications. 135,000 excited race fans are anxiously anticipating the firing of engines and the start of today's Miller 500 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Hogwood. Working along with me in today's race is Johnny Hayes, a former car owner in this sport and a guy who's been around it for a long, long time. Bill Elliott and Darrell Waltrip, 30 points separate them for the NASCAR points lead. They'll be watching each other as well as what's going on the racetrack.
Well, I think Darrell has Bill right where he wants him, and Bill's got to come out real early, go fast, try to win this race. Darrell's philosophy would be, I'll just sit back a little bit, watch what happens to Bill, then I'm going to go for it.
Harry Gant's on the pole. He's been the strong car in this circuit the last couple of weeks. Is he the guy to watch today?
Well, Harry Gant runs super at Charlotte, always has. He's had a hot month. He's won 2 races, could have won 5 very easily. So I think Harry will be a man to beat.
Patrolling pit road for us today, our Goodwrench pit reporters, Jerry Punch and Steve Martin.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch. Well, in baseball, they call Reggie Jackson Mr. October. But in racing, you probably could get votes for Harry Gant as Mr. September. Gant has been impressive at his Chevrolet Monte Carlo, winning 2 of the last 4 events. Gant runs this track very well, and his own GM Goodwrench crew chief Travis Carter feels they have a great chance of winning here today. But the fortunes have not been good in September for Bill Elliott. Elliott has had his problems. It's been a bad month.
Sure has. Broken flywheel bolt at North Wilkesboro, and of course a wreck at Martinsville. Now he's 30 points behind where he was 206 points up. But this is a good track for Bill Elliott. He won here last year, had a strong finish, and of course what he's done this year is history. And as far as Darrell Waltrip is concerned, this is where he broke into the win column this year.
Elliott trails Darrell Waltrip by 30 points on the Winston Cup Point Championship. Should be a good race today, a tight point battle.
It is a gorgeous fall afternoon here at Charlotte. You could not have ordered better weather for a stock car race than what we have today. 60 degrees, winds 10 to 15 miles an hour, 50% humidity, sunny and perfect, the forecast all day long. Let's go back down to pit road now to Jerry Punch, who's standing by with Harry Gant.
Mike, Harry Gant is strapped in the Skull Bandit Chevrolet. And Harry, a new 1-lap qualifying record here at Charlotte. And the last time you were on the pole at Charlotte, you won your first ever Super Speedway race here in 1982. Are you superstitious? Do you think this could be an omen for you today?
Well, you can't never tell. When we won the pole the last time, we had the best handling car to win the pole, and we had the best handling car at the end of the race the next day. So, you know, it all determines right now. We had the best handling car qualifying this time, and hopefully we'll have the best one at the end of the race today.
Are you concerned about the weather change? It's a little bit cooler today than it has been all week long. I know a lot of folks talking about the track changing, maybe the handling characteristics of the car. Does that concern you?
Yeah, the track changes dramatically. It changed a lot Friday and Saturday, and it's very hard right now to get the car chassis worked out and you leave the last practice Saturday evening with doubt, you set up a chassis that you think is going to work 100 miles into the race, and it's really a big guessing game.
We'll go over to Steve Martin standing by with Bill Elliott.
I'm with Bill Elliott and the number 9 Coors Melling Thunderbird. And Bill, what about the race strategy today? Will it be find a comfortable place or get up front early and ride?
Well, it'll be hard to say. We'll just have to wait and see. I know Harry's running good today. There'll probably be some other cars running pretty good. We'll just see how it goes, but try to work out the car for the end of the race.
Bill Elliott and the number 9 Melling Ford Thunderbird waiting here on the starting grid as we go up to topside of Mike Hogwood.
Well, as you see, all the drivers are strapped in. They're all ready to go, and everybody's ready to fire their engines. Cool conditions on the racetrack. That's Bruton Smith, the chairman of the board here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, who's just given the command to fire engines. And we hear all up and down pit road as the engines in those cars indeed are cranked. Johnny Hayes working alongside me up here in the booth, and if you hear some noise, it sounds like thunder in the background. It's just fireworks going off. But Johnny, kind of cool conditions today. What effect is it going to have on these cars early?
Well, I tell you, it gives you butterflies to sit here and watch all this stuff. But I think the cars early, we're going to just have to play it by ear. Nobody changed gears last night. Very few people changed tires. You know, we're just going to have to play it by ear and see what happens.
We're looking at the Winston Cup point standings, and you see that Darrell Waltrip has now moved into the lead, 30 points ahead of Bill Elliott. Harry Gant is trying to make a run for it. What about Harry? Can he catch those two? And what about Darrell? Can he maintain the lead?
Well, number one, I think Harry realistically does not have a good chance. Darrell and Bill have to have problems and have to fall out of races. Harry has to have top finishes. And that could play to Harry Gant's advantage because he can go out here and run full out and try to win this race because he's not really worried about the championship. Where Bill and the other guys, no problem. They got to worry.
We saw Neil Bonnet at 4 and 5. Neil starting 27th today, and 5th place belongs to Ricky Rudd in the point standings. Now, Rudd has not won a race all year long, yet he's 5th in the point standings. He knows there's a little bit of pressure on car number 15 to win today.
Oh, yeah, but Ricky's had consistent finishes. He's run good time after time. And, you know, there's just 20, 22 cars out there that could win this race. And it's not bad. You've not always had a bad year just because you didn't win a race.
Well, you're getting an overview now of just what a beautiful racetrack, beautiful facility it is. We mentioned a moment ago that this is some kind of show place here at Charlotte, and indeed it is. It's a great place to come and watch a stock car race.
Oh, it's fun. I love Charlotte. I grew up around here and followed Humpy Wheeler and Bruton Smith building this thing, and it's just magnificent. It's a great place to bring your sponsors and show them what big-time auto racing's all alike. Then you ask them for the money.
Good strategy, Johnny. All right, we're just about set for the cars to begin rolling down pit road and to take their warm-up laps. When we say warm-up laps, we mean just to get everything hot in the car and get ready to go to green. The track is a 1.5-mile quad oval, 24 degrees banking in the turns, 5 degrees banking in the straightaways. And because of that variance in banking, the variance in the turns, it makes this a pretty tough track to drive, doesn't it, Johnny?
Oh, yeah, this is absolutely one of the toughest race car tracks to drive on the circuit. You go to places like Daytona and Talladega, hold it to the floor and go all out. Here, you really have to be careful. You have to have your car set up. And if you look, it's the old pros that have dominated this area.
As we watch them go around for the warm-up tracks, just a moment as to why this is such a tough racetrack to get around.
Well, you can see it's high bank. You have turn 1. Coming out of turn 1 going into turn 2 is always a trouble spot. You come flying in there, you have to get set up to go down your backstretch. You go into 3, you hit the wall going into turn 4. Then you have a dog leg left. You come down through the tri-oval. It's just not a straight oval, and you really have to drive the thing. You have to look for the right groove.
Let's go now, and we take a look at the starting grid. As you see the pole leader, Harry Gant, begin to come by. He set a track record in qualifying this past Thursday. They tried to qualify on Wednesday, but were rained out. And Harry Gant starts with a pole record time of 166.139 miles an hour. Tim Richmond is on the outside. A good lick for Tim, starting number 2. Row 2 is Benny Parsons, and car number 9, who you just heard from a moment ago, Bill Elliott. In row 3, it is Dale Earnhardt out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, and Jeff Bodine from Chemung, New York. Cale Yarborough and Ricky Rudd, who's in that top 5 in the point standings, but has yet to win a race this year. Row 5, David Pearson, and I know David would love to really come on and do something here today.
Well, David, this is one of his favorite racetracks. He's won here. I see he's got the American flag hung out his window, so I think David's going to do good.
All right, row 6, Bobby Hillen and Darrell Waltrip. Down now to row 7 and 8. Greg Sachs, Joe Ruttman, Terry Labonte, Morgan Shepherd are in row 8. Row 9 and 10, Davey Allison, his first Grand National ride here in Charlotte in the Hoss Ellington prepared car. Tommy Ellis is in row 11. Row 12, the King, and I don't care where he starts, he always gets a loud cheer. Richard Petty in car 43. Row 14, you see Neil Bonnet starting 27th. Very, very disappointing qualifying run for Neil.
Well, Neil was disappointed. They had 3 different cars down here. They finally got in the race, but last practice he ran real good.
All right, row 15, Don Paul and the veteran Supertex A.J. Foyd. Row 17, Sterling Marlin. Row 18, you see Dick Trickle and Mike Walter, who is the younger brother of Darrell. Row 19, Ronnie Bouchard and Dave Marcus. Tim Reagan and Jimmy Means are in row 20. Lenny Pine and Clark Dwyer, provisional starters today, 41 and 42nd. Lenny Pine in car 17 and Clark Dwyer will be in car 64. The warm-up laps now as you see them coming around, and what's going on here as we get the sign for 1 to go as the pace car heads them down across this front straightaway here. What's going on inside the race car with the driver? What do you start thinking about at this time, 1 lap before the race is to go green?
Oh, I think they're sitting there saying, I just want to get a good start. I want to play it safe early. This is a long race. I want to be here at the finish. Let's drive smart. That's what they're all thinking, but when it comes to green flag, they all put it to the floor and race each other like crazy into turn 1 and go for it.
500 miles is a long way to go and a long day, and we're awfully glad you're with us for this Miller 500 stock car race. We think it's going to be an exciting one. Harry Gant, Tim Richmond are on the front row. Is Harry going to try to put his car number 33 out in front early?
Oh, absolutely, because the chairman of the board of U.S. Tobacco is here to watch him, and he wants to do good in front of the man.
Harry Gant, of course, sponsored by Skoal. They call that car the Skoal Bandit. And he won the pole here, and he's starting in car number 33. Tim Richmond, a guy who's had a little bit of tough luck this season. A lot of rumors he won't be back in that 27 car. I know he'd like to make a good showing here today. He's starting on the front row.
Tim ran silver. He was tickled to death. He was disappointed he didn't get the pole because he did run a great lap, but I think he's looking forward to show some people some stuff today.
Well, they're in the middle of turn 3 and 4, and the pace car is getting ready to make that hard left turn and come down pit road. They'll start winding it up. Pace car is down on pit road, and here come Gant and Richmond as the crowd here at Charlotte on its feet and cheering. Harold Kender will be dropping the green flag, and it's Harry Gant who punches the pedal early, and Harry Gant puts his number 33 car out in front to the inside. It's Richmond who is on the outside, and the cars are still bunched as they head into turn 1. Early strategy in the race, Johnny Hayes.
Well, I think it's try to get to the front. Let's get in straight line. You know, when you're running side by side like this, anything can happen. Benny Parsons, Harry Gant, there goes Earnhardt diving to the front. That doesn't surprise me a bit. Earnhardt loves it up front, and that's where he wants to be.
Dale Earnhardt has ducked down low on the racetrack and moved up 2 positions. He's in 3rd right now, and the crowd here loves it. Kannapolis just up the road from Charlotte, but it's Richmond and Gant who are still running side by side for the lead, but Earnhardt wants a piece of it.
Well, Earnhardt, he's going to the front. You can watch it. Richmond also. I'll tell you, if you like action, buddy, keep your eyes on Tim Richmond and Earnhardt because they will give you all you want. Earnhardt dropped back just a little bit. Here comes Benny Parsons.
There are 2 Hardee's cars in this race with the Hardee's marking on them. They look exactly the same. One is driven by Cale Yarborough, the other by a rookie driver, Alan Kulwicki in car 38. He has just been black flagged to come down pit road for some kind of consultation, and Kulwicki is coming down on pit road now.
Here comes Cale Yarborough making a big jump. He's coming quick. As I told you, they would jump right out here and be real conservative, not endanger anything.
There's Alan Kulwicki, and right behind him is A.J. Foyt. A.J. Foyt, the veteran driver out of Houston, Texas, also on pit road early. Something amiss in the car.
It was a stop-and-go penalty. I'm sure they jumped the start on the start of the race, and it was a penalty to come in. I'm sure the cars are fine. It was just they jumped the start.
So Foyt and Kulwicki penalized here early for trying to make moves too early, but look at the move Cale Yarborough is making, running in 2nd place now. It's Gant who's leading Yarborough, but Yarborough says, hey, I want to put it up near the front, the Ford Thunderbird.
Cale's run good all year. They've had problems from time to time, but Cale just signed a new deal with Hardee's for next year. They've got that all squared away, so I think he's here to just try to prove to everybody that he's going to be tough next year.
Well, Cale, who started 7th, has moved up into the 2nd spot, and we have just run 4 laps here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And is the leader as he started on the pole, and he looks strong today, Tom.
Harry Gant, he was really optimistic this morning. He said the car practiced perfectly, and he felt like he had the right setup, and he was going to go right out front, proving to himself he could run up front.
There you see the space between Harry Gant, your leader, out of Taylorsville, North Carolina, and Cale Yarborough. Also jumping to start today was the 95 car. And he has to come on for a consultation stop-and-go penalty. And Harry seems to be strengthening his lead a little bit as Richmond and Yarborough now are dicing back and forth for that 2nd place spot, and Tim's going to take it away from Cale.
Well, that's exactly the reason that Harry was able to lengthen the lead a little bit. When they get running side by side, it slows everybody down, gives Harry a chance to break on out.
Well, we tried to look for car 95 a moment ago, and that is Mike Alexander, who has switched numbers from 92. Your leader's Harry Gant, and we'll return live to the Miller 500 in Charlotte following these messages.
To fully understand how Goodyear Eagle high-performance tires alter the driving experience, we urge you to read the Special Operator's Manual before you drive.
Motor Speedway, here are your leaders. Harry Gant on the pole. He's still up front. Tim Richmond still number 2, but he's dicing it back and forth with Cale Yarborough. Then it's Jeff Bodine and Bill Elliott, who started 4th and is now running 5th. The guy on the racetrack that's really making the move right now is, well, Harry Gant is out in front. You see his 2 wins at Dover and Wilkesboro. In the top 5, he's just been hot for the last 6-7 weeks, John.
Well, Harry Gant's just on a roll. You know, they started the year really great. Then they hit a real dead period where things just didn't go well for them, and that was when the carburetor change came. Well, about 6 weeks ago, they figured out the carburetor change, and they've got their horsepower back up to where it was. And ever since then, he's run great. He's looked good.
Well, that's Harry Gant out of Taylorsville. And as you see, has a pretty comfortable lead now on Tim Richmond. The man on the racetrack who is really making the move is Richard Petty in car 43. He has moved from 23rd place on the racetrack. He is now running 10th. Richard Petty has his Pontiac dialed in today. Now let's go down to pit road. Jerry Punch is standing by with Richard Childress in the Dale Earnhardt pit.
There's a problem in the Dale Earnhardt pit. Richard Childress, the car owner. Richard, problems on the starting grid. You had to change a tire. What happened?
Well, we had a right rear tire was going down, sitting out there, and then when we changed it, we had to put a too small a tire on it because we didn't have one big enough. Just making the car push real bad. Hope we get a caution or something here, and we'll get that tires back off and get them right.
Earnhardt has told the crew the car is not handling. He is now backsliding through the field. Now he's just out of the top 10 and moving back. They hope to get an early caution so they can change that right rear tire again.
There's the Richard Petty car. As we said, he's moved from 23rd to 10th. But while Richard is running so well, now sitting on pit road is Neil Bonnet. He started 27th in this race, Johnny. He has had smoke, and now they are pushing the Neil Bonnet car back. And could it be that the day is over already for car number 12 on lap number 12?
It sure looks like it, and that's really a sad situation. Neil Bonnet's real close to Harry Gant in points. He's 4th, and falling out this early could really just put him in a bad spot for the rest of the season.
So it looks like Neil Bonnet, the first one to go out. I talked to him earlier this week, and Neil said, hey, this car is just not running. He qualified 27th. It's just been a bad week for him all the way around here in Charlotte.
Yeah, and it sure ended on a sour note because I think they're going home.
The battle for second place between Richmond and Cale Yarborough. Boy, when you talk about drivers and guys that really give it their all and give it every ounce of energy they have, Cale Yarborough really fits that bill.
Oh, yeah. Cale Yarborough's a premier driver. If you talked about any car owner down there and you gave him his choice of anybody in the place, most of them would pick Cale Yarborough to be their driver. He's a competitor. He loves it. He's easy to work with. And I tell you, he's got his hands full with a guy like Tim Richmond because Tim Richmond wants to prove that, hey, I can get the job done too. And Bill Elliott's just riding right along behind him to say, you know, how's it going to go?
Well, Richmond has his 27 car out in front right now, but Cale Yarborough on the low side of the racetrack, he wants the lead, and they're riding an awful lot of time, door handle to door handles. You see them passing Buddy Arrington in slower traffic. But it's Richmond just will not let him get by him.
No, and he's going to run him door to door. And what's happening is Harry Gant's getting a breakaway. When you get side by side and slow him down, Harry Gant's going to be comfortable. Just get out there and ride and pull off from everyone.
Well, Harry Gant with almost a 3-second advantage now on the second-place cars of Richmond and Cale Yarborough. And you see Bill Elliott now. He wants to get involved in that just a little bit. But I kind of think Bill Elliott, even though he needs a win today, will just kind of hang back a little bit and try to stay out of trouble, because he has had some trouble finishing races the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's a very intelligent driver. He hardly ever makes a mistake on his own, and he is going to run a good, smart race, but he wants to let everybody know, hey, I can get the job done.
Harry Gant is your leader. Tim Richmond is running second, Cale Yarborough third, and Bill Elliott fourth. We will return live to the Charlotte Motor Speedway after these messages from your local station. Leader Neil Bonnet has moved, or rather Neil Bonnet is out of the race. Our Goodrich attrition update, and now let's go to the garage and Jerry Punch.
Neil Bonnet, it was a short afternoon for you here at Charlotte. What happened?
It's just been a bad week. You know, we never ran all week long, qualified 27th, and the motor just exploded as soon as the race started. I don't know what happened.
Really going to hurt you in the Winston Cup point chase. You're in fourth spot, just 10 points back of Harry Gant. That's got to be very frustrating.
Well, it's going to kill us right here at the end of the season. You know, the points are so critical coming down the wire here, and it's really going to hurt today.
Well, Neil Bonnet parks it here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Jerry Punch with a very, very disappointed Neil Bonnet, but right now Harry Gant has to be feeling pretty good. And Bill Elliott has now moved into the number 2 spot on the racetrack. He has been running awful strong the last couple of practices, and Elliott is now in second place.
Well, Harry Gant, he's running super, but the thing that's helping Harry is everybody's running door to door back there, and Cale and Bill are running side by side and fighting with each other. So it's a tough situation for them. As long as they're going to run side by side, nobody's going to pull off. Bill just jumped by, Cale let it go by.
A.J. Foyt in the number 14 car there, not running all that strong, as Bill Elliott just puts him a lap down.
Well, A.J. had to pull in earlier for the stop, for jumping the start, so that put him in the back of the field, so we're not sure exactly how he's going to run.
Kyle Petty is coming back down pit road. He is already 2 laps down as we take a look at the leaders. Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, Cale Yarborough, Tim Richmond, and Ricky Rudd. And Kyle Petty has just taken a hard left turn and put his car behind the wall. Petty is the second driver to go out of the race.
Well, Kyle Petty, this is tough for him because he's right up there in the points too and has had a good year. And this, you know, their hometown, they're in front of their people, and they want to do so well in Charlotte. This is the big one. They want to do well here. This breaks those guys' heart to come in. You can tell the dejection in Neil Bonnet's voice. It's really sad, and for everybody to work so hard and come up short and fall out this early, it really is tough.
Kyle Petty's car, of course, prepared by the Wood brothers out of Virginia. And Kyle has said he's wanted to run good this year, and he was hoping today might be the day that he got his first Grand National win, but it is not to be, as Kyle Petty in car number 7 has taken that car now behind the wall. This is the race for third place, and you see Tim Richmond and Cale Yarborough getting a little loose. They may have touched just a moment there. Richmond coming down low, and he is driving as aggressive as I've ever seen Tim Richmond drive.
Well, Tim Richmond's an aggressive race car driver. He loves it. He's not afraid of anything. But you see Richard Petty has moved right up on their bumper. It's a good show here, and I think these guys are racing a lot harder early than guys gonna get a breakaway and go around last.
Richard Petty has just passed Ricky Rudd, and now Richard Petty, who started 23rd today, is in the 5th position. So Richard Petty really has his Pontiac dialed in, and the fans here, he's a hero here in Charlotte.
Oh, God, we all love Richard because Richard's one of the best gentlemen in the sport. He always has a smile on his face, and his boss is here, and I think he's just going to show off a little bit to let them know how good he is.
Our attrition update has 2 cars behind the wall. Those are the 2 cars of Neil Bonnet, number 12, and Kyle Petty, number 7.
Well, you know, Mike Curb owns that Richard Petty car. And Mike Curb, he owns the Indy cars. He's into racing big time. He was into politics big time. And I'm sure this is a fun day for Mike Curb to sit down and watch his car run this well this early.
Look at Bill Elliott. He's made up some ground on Harry Gant. Car number 9 is catching up to car 33, and we could have a race for the lead here in just a moment.
Well, I told you earlier that Bill Elliott was going to just let things settle down to see where it falls. He's got a breakaway. Now he's going to show Harry, hey, Harry, you aren't the only good car.
Cale Yarborough in the pits. This is an unscheduled pit stop on lap 27. And what a tough break there for Cale Yarborough. Looks like he might have had a tire going down as they're in changing right side tires on the number 28 car.
That's a killer. Bill Elliott has jumped by Harry Gant to take the lead, but back to Cale Yarborough. They've worked so hard. They've run good. They've had these problems. They had to change right sides. Now they're going to left side. That means they had an equalized tire. They didn't know which one to change, so they had to change all four, and they got lapped doing it.
Well, Yarborough has just gone down a lap. Now, let's go down to the garage area, and our Goodrich pit reporter, Jerry Punch, who's standing by with what I know has to be a disappointing Kyle Petty.
Well, Kyle Petty is sitting inside the car. He is not out of the car. As you can see, the Wood brothers are working on the 711 Ford Thunderbird. They have a clutch problem. The clutch is slipping. The car would not pull off the corners. Kyle is still in the car. They are beneath the car trying to get the clutch or pressure plate replaced. They hope to get Kyle back out. It won't be a good day for Kyle Petty, but maybe he'll finish here in the Miller 500.
Thank you very much, Jerry Punch, and let's hope that Kyle can get back in and at least make a finish in this race here at Charlotte, the Miller 500 today. Bill Elliott, car number 9, is now the leader, going for his 11th win today. He has 10 wins, as many super speedway wins as anybody ever. David Pearson did 10 one time, but Bill Elliott has had an absolutely unbelievable season, and you just can't say enough about what Elliott has done this year.
Well, Bill has just been depressed that he's had the bad luck he's had recently, and he's hoping it'll all come back together. He loves this racetrack. I knew he would go out early, try to lead, prove to himself, prove to the fans, hey, nothing's happened. My Ford's still strong, and I'm still doing a great job. He may later on calm down a little bit, let some other people lead, but I think he wants to prove to America today Bill Elliott is back.
Bill Elliott's last lap, 156.069 miles an hour. He's flying. We'll return live to the Miller 500 at Charlotte Motor Speedway following these messages. Charlotte Motor Speedway, and Bill Elliott is your leader, followed by Harry Gant. Ricky Rudd has just passed Tim Richmond for the number 3 spot on the racetrack, and Richard Petty, the king, is running 5th, and they're all trying to chase down Awesome.
Well, Bill, he's just had a super year. You know, it's hard to say. He's won 10 super speedways this year. He's won on every NASCAR super speedway in the past 12 months. I knew Bill Elliott before he hit the big time. Bill Elliott won his first race. He beat my Copenhagen race car out in Riverside, knocked it sideways, went on to win, and I think that was a turning point for Bill Elliott.
Let's go down now to our Goodrich pit reporter, Steve Martin, who is in the Elliott pits.
We're in Bill Elliott's pit with brother Dan Elliott, who helps Ernie Elliott, his other brother, in the engine shop, and also sets up the pit down here. Dan, what's Bill telling you about the condition of the track so far?
Well, Bill hasn't said anything as of yet. He's running his own pace, and he's comfortable. And as long as he's comfortable, we're set.
Did you tell him to run out front early today?
Well, he wanted to go ahead and get his bonus points for leading the lap, and he's going to run wherever he's most comfortable. And if it's leading where he's comfortable, that's where he'll be.
Taking care of business early as far as Bill Elliott is concerned. He's out front right now where he's been most of the season in the Winston Cup points race, and he wants to get back out there today.
Well, Bill Elliott had a birthday yesterday. He was 30 years old, and I know he'd like to celebrate in no other way than to win the Miller 500 here today.
Oh, he turned the big 3-0 yesterday, and I told him he was about ready to hit the midlife crisis, and it's got him all concerned because he thinks he's getting old and over the hill, but I think Bill's going to be around for a long time, don't you?
Yeah, indeed I do. I think he's going to be around this sport, and I think he's going to be winning races for a long time. On pit road now, an unscheduled stop for Buddy Arrington, who came into this race with a new sponsor, and they're in changing tires. Obviously, he was having some kind of tire problem out on the racetrack. Harry Gant now, what's his strategy? Is he going to try to fight with Bill, or is he going to be content to sit back there?
No, Harry's going to be totally content. This is a 500-mile race, and he's just going to ride. His car's working well. Bill's car's working well. They're just going to run the best they can. They're going to try to lap some of these other cars, make their move, and just try to keep their nose clean, keep their cars safe.
It's still a long way to go. We ran 334 laps here to make up the Miller 500, this mile-and-a-half track. And we have just put 39 laps on the board, so there is still almost 300 laps to go. So it's a long way here in Charlotte, and a lot of things can happen. But right now, Bill Elliott looks like he is awful strong. But I saw him at Dover a couple weeks ago. He looked this way, too. and had some trouble. I know that has to be playing on his mind just a little bit. Now let's go down the pit road. Jerry Punch is standing by with Waddell Wilson.
We're standing in the Cale Yarborough pit with his crew chief, Waddell Wilson. Waddell, a few laps to go, an unscheduled stop for your car. What's the problem?
Well, Cale come on the radio and said he had a tire going down, and he couldn't tell me which one it was, so we went ahead and changed all four because you don't want to take a chance on making 2 pit stops.
But you lost a lap in the pits. That has to be really frustrating.
Well, it really is, but, you know, this is the break for the game. I just hope that we can get back in the lap with the leaders. The car's running well since we changed the tires.
Well, this crew has been here at Charlotte testing off and on for the last couple of weeks. They wanted a win here today. They may get it, but they're going to have to work extra hard now.
There you see Cale Yarborough, who is a lap down. One car really making a move right now is the Morgan Shepherd car number 16. Morgan hasn't run in this car very much this year, and right now he is running in 5th place. Morgan Shepherd right behind Richard Petty, and that's got to be quite a thrill for Morgan.
Well, Morgan's running super today. That's the Carolina Tool car that David Pearson used to drive, and they're trying to come back into racing, looking hard for sponsorship, and I feel like that they have a quality race car, and Morgan's certainly a quality race car driver.
There you see Morgan Shepherd right behind Richard Petty. Tim Richmond has slipped back just a little bit, and Richard Petty right now is running 4th. Morgan Shepherd and Tim Richmond are battling for 5th place. And right now, Morgan Shepherd in car 16, a big surprise. He owns 5th place, and Tim Richmond apparently something not running quite as well in that car as he slipped back down to 6th.
Well, a lot of times those tires will heat up. You didn't get the exact right setup, and things are just going to fall like they are to the first pit stop. Once we get that first pit stop, everybody will make adjustments to their cars. They'll get the tire stagger right. Then I think you'll see everything settle down, and the cream will rise to the top after the first pit stop.
Morgan Shepherd started 16th, is now running in 5th place. There in the 5th place, the leader is Bill Elliott, and we will return to the Charlotte Motor Speedway after these messages. Miller 500 is quite a spectacle. Not only do they have the race here, but the pre-race activities are absolutely unbelievable. A lot of the drivers we've seen with red and white and blue neckerchiefs, their flags all over the place. It's all a theme. Share the pride and buy American. And we took some pictures, and we'd like to share them with you right now. Quite a pep rally here earlier today. Also, we saw the world's largest flag, weighs over 7 tons. Here are your leaders: Bill Elliott, Harry Gant, Ricky Rudd in 3rd place. Tim Richmond is 4th, and the King Richard Petty is still running in 5th place. Been away for a moment. We are now working lap 50 of this race, and Bill Elliott is the leader. So far, the drivers seem content now, maybe to drive a little bit conservatively, just kind of feel things out and just let the race pace on a little bit.
Well, everything's going to sort of hold like it is for the time being. Everybody's waiting to make that first pit stop, and that's where you get your opportunity to do some well. You've got Benny Parsons coming down pit road. He has some kind of problem with his car.
They really shouldn't start making scheduled stops for another 10 laps or so. I think maybe some of them say they can go 60 laps. We're on lap 50, and Vinnie Parsons on pit road. Apparently something wrong with the Copenhagen car number 55.
Well, they're going to right side tires. I think they may have more of a problem than that, but they're sure jumping in there and trying to get that job done. They went very slowly around. The pit crew was slow getting there, and it appeared like they were going to go under the hood, but now they're back out of the way. Look like getting on the racetrack.
Well, Parsons is down and away, but he will go a lap down. Sterling Marlin of the 00 car has been a little bit loose on the racetrack, but Bill Elliott has been tight, doing what he wants to do with the car number 9, as we have seen him do so much this season in 1985.
Yeah, Bill's had a super year, and he's just trying to make it go on, and it appears to me today that he has them covered again.
Now let's go down to our Goodwrench pit reporter, Jerry Punch.
We're standing in the Morgan Shepherd pit with his crew chief, Larry McReynolds. Larry, you got to be awfully pleased the way the car is running today. Starting in 16th spot, now he's up to 6th spot. Morgan seems to be driving the car extremely well.
Well, yeah, the car's working real well. We've tried about every combination possible here this week, and the only time that we was really pleased with the car was yesterday after the 400-mile sportsman race, so hopefully it'll just stay with us all day long.
It's getting a little bit rough out there, though. Didn't Morgan complain to you just a minute ago that he's getting a little bit of fender banging going on?
Yeah, I don't know what Bodine was trying to do a while ago. It's awfully early in the race for that. And then he said a while ago he went up and accidentally bumped Richard, but I believe we'll be okay.
Well, that's Morgan Shepherd's pits. They're excited. Shepherd's having a great run thus far in the Miller 500.
Well, one guy not having a great run is the 55 car of Vinnie Parsons. We saw him in the pits a moment ago, and now apparently Vinnie has decided to call it a day as he takes it back to the garage area.
Well, there's going to be a ton of disappointed people in Denver, North Carolina over this because they worked so hard. They only have 2 races left, this race, and now they're out of it. They have Atlanta coming up. They've worked hard all year, and things just haven't gone their way, and today's another one of those days.
Well, Cale Yarborough's been making his way up. He just passed Harry Gann and now has his set sight on Bill Elliott. He is a lap down, and he's fighting to get back on the lead lap. He's running 24th, a lap down, but Cale is running awfully strong at the moment.
Well, and the important thing to remember, Cale is running well, but he has 4 new tires on, and those tires certainly help you, and everybody else's tires are going away, and Cale has fresher tires, so it doesn't surprise me he's pulled back up like he has.
Cale certainly hoped to get up with Bill Elliott and then hope for a caution so he could get back up and run with the leaders. Morgan Shepherd out of Conover, North Carolina. We just heard from his pits a moment ago, running very, very well. Ford Thunderbird of Bill Elliott is number 1. Harry Gant's chasing him. The rest of the field, Ricky Rudd will be back to the Charlotte Motor Speedway after these messages from your local stations. Our Goodwrench Performance Parts Attrition Update now has Vinnie Parsons joining Neil Bonnet and Kyle Petty in the garage area. Now let's go down to the garage area and Jerry Punch.
Vinnie Parsons getting unhooked from the Copenhagen Chevrolet here, and Vinnie looks dejected. The crew inside the car trying to get all the radio equipment unhooked and getting his helmet off so he'll be able to hear us here in just a moment. Vinnie, it's been a rough afternoon for you. What put you out?
I didn't hear the question, Jerry.
What put you out, Vinnie?
It appears as though something happened to the fuel pump. I came off the corner and the car quit running, and I came in, we put fuel in it, and I noticed the fuel pressure gauge was fluctuating. When we went back out on the racetrack, when it got to high RPMs, the fuel pressure went down to 0, and again, the car wouldn't run. So evidently, something happened to the fuel pump.
Well, Vinnie Parsons, a former winner here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, will not repeat that feat today.
Boy, Johnny, you're right. He really looked a bit dejected there. Cale Yarborough about to unlap Bill Elliott on lap 60, and we're getting ready for pit stops. This is a big move for Cale Yarborough as he tries to get himself back on the lead lap.
Well, I think Bill's not going to fight Cale. He knows Cale has better tires and a little better car. Plus, Bill knows that I'm getting ready to come in for a pit stop, so why fight this door-to-door stuff? So I really think Cale has unlapped himself now, but I don't think Bill went with him door-to-door like he had to.
Cale pitted on lap 27, so he still has a while to go before he needs fuel. We're getting to that time of the race where everybody's going to have to stop, and it looks like they're going to have to stop under green. What's your strategy now as Dale Earnhardt's pit board comes out, as his crew gets ready, and all the others? There's a lot of stirring down on pit road.
Well, the real strategy is let's go in and get out as fast as we can. But if your car's not working properly, they're going to have to make an adjustment. It's going to take a little more time. But these are critical stops under green. This is not like a stop under caution.
And now's the time early in the race as well where you can begin to started making some adjustments on the car and get it running just a little bit better. Here comes Earnhardt. Here comes Bobby Allison. And just the first of what should be a large number of cars to head down pit road. Dale Earnhardt, who has had some problems with the car. We heard from Richard Childress just a moment ago, and we see the time as they're working on the car, and I'm sure they're making some adjustments in there too.
Yes, and they definitely went to the right side, and that's the problem. That's where they changed the tire, and they said they did not have equal tire stagger earlier, so hopefully this will solve their problem. They get the right kind of tire stagger. Tire stagger purely means how much air you put in the tire. The right side tire is larger than the left side tire.
And it makes it awfully tough to drive around this racetrack, which is tough enough to drive when all the tires are equal.
Sure, if they are, the car's trying to go to the wall, and that's the last place you want to go in Charlotte, North Carolina, is into the wall.
Doesn't feel too good. Alan Kowicki and Lenny Pond are down and away. Ricky Rudd, one of your leaders, is in on pit road in his Motorcraft Ford, and Ricky Rudd also will go to the right side and get new right side tires.
And Ricky Rudd is running third right before this, and we haven't called Ricky Rudd a lot today, but he has had a good solid showing. He's running well, and the Fords work good at Charlotte. Don't forget that. This has always been a Ford racetrack. The Fords always run well here.
Your leader, Bill Elliott, is heading down pit road, and Elliott will come in, and we will watch Ernie Elliott, Dan Elliott, and the rest of that Coors team go to work on car number 9.
Well, when they came in there, it flashed back to last race when they were trying to make those pit stops. They couldn't get the car stopped. They didn't have brakes. They tried to catch it. It broke their heart. I'm sure they felt real good to come in here and get out so quick.
Boy, that's an incredible pit stop for the Elliott team. 15 seconds flat, a full tank of gas, and some new tires. David Pearson is in. Davey Allison is in, along with Phil Parsons. Just about everybody making a trip down pit road now. And then if we stay green, they'll be able to go another 60 laps or so. Your leader before the pit stops is Bill Elliott. We'll sort out the field for you in just a moment as we return live to the Miller 500 following these messages. For him to lead one lap and therefore pick up 5 very valuable Winston Cup points at this time of year, since Elliott had already been our leader and had picked up the 5 points.
You can bet 5 points are important because this thing is so close it could go down to the last race, and I'm sure it will, and it can be won by just a few points. It's going to make the whole difference.
Well, with all the pit stops in the last 5-6 laps, it's been tough to sort out the field. They're still working on that, and they will sort out who is the leader as everybody still is coming down pit road. Johnny, you had a chance yesterday to chat with Bill Elliott and talk with him. Nobody, I don't think not many people around here know him as well as Johnny Hayes does, and he's very loose and relaxed and has some great thoughts on this season and what's been happening. And now let's hear Johnny Hayes' conversation with Bill Elliott as he takes a look at Elliott's season up close and personal.
Well, you know, I look back on the year and we've had a really good year. We've won some races that we probably had the competition beat, and then we've won some races we just got lucky at. And to have the year that we've had, we've never dreamed of having. You know, we used to sit down and realistically think about it, but there's still no way you can put it in perspective. Because last year, Darrell Waltrip won 7 races, and that was a bunch of races for the competition level. And for us to do what we've done this year, we've had one heck of a year. Plus coming in and winning the Winston Million and being the first guy to do that, plus just being the 3rd driver to win 3 of those 4 races makes me really feel proud. Pressure's there, but I don't feel like it's bothered me no worse than it has all year long in a lot of circumstances. Because, you know, if I go out there and I just drove straight in the wall, then I'd say the pressure's getting to me, or if I made mistakes on the racetrack. But, you know, we've been consistent. I've been getting in and out of pit road. The team's done their work. And I can't say that we've just come across a streak that some unexplained things have happened, and we can't do anything about it. They're out of our control. Luck hadn't gone our way lately. You know, I go back into Darlington and look at that, and I was truly lucky in a lot of places. And I probably wasn't the fastest car, but I ended up winning the race by surviving the place. When we go on, we go to Dover, and we ran good, but we had mechanical problems. We wrecked at Martinsville, and we had mechanical problems again at Wilkesboro. So going through that, and it's things that you can't blame anything for because it was stuff that was checked and rechecked. So I look back on it, and there's really nothing we could do about it. If it was been something that was neglected or something like that, then I'd really feel bad about it. But I don't feel bad about it whatsoever. you know, why should I come in and just because I've won all the races this year say that I want the point system changed? You know, I might come up next year and not win as many races, but consistently finish and be high up in the points or win it. So, you know, really, is it fair one way or is it unfair another way? Who really knows?
Bill Elliott, as he talked with Johnny Hayes yesterday. There's our leader, Tim Richmond. Bill Elliott and Harry Gant are trying to run him down, but Tim Richmond has run an awful strong race today as we are 73 laps through the Miller 500 here in Charlotte.
I think the Bill Elliott piece shows the quality of guy Bill Elliott is. Even going through the problems they've had, he still has a good attitude. He says, hey, these are not driver problems. These are just typical racing luck, mechanical problems you'll have. And a lot of people think Darrell Waltrip playing on Bill Elliott's head is going to make him not do well. I don't buy that at all. I think Bill Elliott, if his car holds together, stays out of wrecks, I think Bill Elliott will give Darrell Waltrip all he wants.
A lot of that talk in the garage area and dicing back and forth through the media all goes out the window once you strap yourself in the race car, doesn't it?
Sure, and you know, Darrell has fun playing with it. He doesn't mean anything bad by it. He loves to play on your head, and that he figures that gives him one-upmanship. But I swear I just don't believe it's working on Bill Elliott. I think Bill Elliott just had that bad racing luck, and obviously today he's running well.
Well, Tim Richmond is also running well. He's the leader. Harry Gant has passed Bill Elliott, and Ricky Rudd is running fourth, and Morgan Shepherd is right back up there running fifth right now. Tim Richmond, a guy out of Ashland, Ohio, who a lot of rumors about Tim Richmond that he may be going elsewhere next year, someplace other than this 27 car, and I know he wants to prove to these guys that, hey, I can win in your race car.
Well, Tim Richmond, he's cut a lot out of the mold of Dale Earnhardt. He wants to run up front. He wants to lead every lap. He will make contact with you. He'll do what it takes. He's had a good year this year. He's had a chance to win 3 or 4 races, and Earnhardt's beat him 3 out of those 4 times that he had a chance to win. So I feel strongly that Richmond is a quality race car driver. He does have offers, I do know that, and I will be shocked if he is back where he is now.
Well, so far in 1985, Richmond does not have a win. He's got 3 top 5s and 11 top 10 finishes. Now let's go down to the Richmond pit and Jerry Punch.
We're standing by with Barry Dotson, the crew chief for Tim Richmond. Barry's standing with us. Barry, Tim's running awfully well out there. You got to be pleased with the way the car's performing.
Yeah, Jerry, we're pleased. The cool weather's helping a little bit. It's a Laughlin car. The car's driving good. A little bit tight, so we're going to take some bite out of it and try to run a little quicker. We need a little bit of luck. Same thing we needed all year.
It's not been a great year for you so far, and there's a lot of rumors going around that the team may change hands, possibly, or sponsorship, or maybe Tim Richmond will go elsewhere. Can you comment on that at all, Barry?
We don't have anything solidified right now, but I don't think anybody on this team wants anything to change. We just need to win some races.
Well, that's Barry Dotson, the crew chief for Tim Richmond, and Richmond right now running very well. They had a great pit stop, 14.5 seconds on that green flag stop for 2 right side tires. This crew wants to win a race.
Well, so far, their best finish in 1985 has been a second at Bristol. No wins. They're hoping for one today. We'll return live to the Charlotte Motor Speedway after these messages. And there's Bill Elliott, who right now is running in the number 3 position as you see him bypassing Buddy Arrington in the number 67 car. Elliott still a ways to go to catch up to Harry Gant. Running 4th on the field is Cale Yarborough, who made up that lap as we saw a moment ago and is now running back up with the leaders. Ricky Rudd and Morgan Shepherd are having quite a battle for 5th place as you see the leader, Tim Richmond. Rudd and Shepherd just dicing it back and forth, and right now Ricky Rudd owns that 5th spot on the racetrack. Tim Richmond is your leader, and that's got to be quite a thrill for Tim sitting in the cockpit of that car.
Well, Tim Richmond, he loves to lead races, as I said earlier, and this is hometown for him now. He's originally from Ohio, but he lives here on the lake, and he certainly is enjoying being up front.
After 100 miles, you saw the number of lead changes we have had. Over 156 miles an hour has been our average speed. That is very fast for Charlotte. but it's been because we have been free of caution flags for the first 84 laps.
Yeah, and that's super. Everybody gets a chance to see what they've got. I'm sure a lot of people are begging for a caution now.
Kyle Petty is back out on the racetrack in car number 7. Kyle Petty just pulled out of the garage onto pit road, and he is back out on the racetrack, and a cheer went up from a large number of fans down there. They really like Kyle here.
Oh, they sure do. Kyle's really come along. He's had a good year, and the reason he comes out after all this time is strictly chasing the points, and he's one of the tops in the points lead now, and he just wants to finish this race and get as many points as he can.
Joe Rudman is the last car on the lead lap. There are still 12 cars on the lead lap here in Charlotte. We've had 7 lead changes. 6 different drivers have led, among them Darrell Waltrip and Bill Elliott, so both of them have picked up their 5 points, and Tim Richmond has been the man to beat for the last couple of minutes.
Well, the reason Tim Richmond got the lead and the way he pulled off is because of the great pit stop his pit crew made. Barry Dodson, his crew chief, they do an excellent job. And as you said, the rumors are going crazy, and I think the crew's trying to prove that, hey, we can get the job done. And if Tim gets the job done, I think they're hoping that something miracle will happen and they all stay together.
Richmond, of course, out of Ohio, started running Indy cars, and he was the 1980 Indy 500 Rookie of the Year. Terry Labonte is running in 9th place. He is still on the lead lap, still has a chance now. Let's go down now to our Goodwrench pit reporter, Steve Martin.
We're in Terry Labonte's pit. You know, this has been a tough year for the 44 car. It's been Grand National Champion, defending Grand National Champion. And, of course, last year, Bobby Allison had to put up with the same thing. He won the title in '83, had a tough luck season in '84. Terry Labonte's had only 1 win to his credit at Riverside. And on top of that, team owner Billy Hagan's had to shake this club up. As a matter of fact, he's had to go and replace a crew chief. Dale Inman will rejoin Richard Petty next season. So they're trying to sort things out and finish very strong, especially here in Charlotte, where they haven't won in the 44 car before.
Cale Yarborough is on pit road now. My calculations have that as a scheduled pit stop because he pitted on about lap 25, 26, and so now Yarborough is due into the pits, and that should be a scheduled pit stop.
Yes, I totally agree, and I think that Cale's got his act back together. Now, Cale has to hope that the caution does not come out. He has to hope that after everybody pits, then a caution would come and he'd get his lap back. So he did lose 1 lap.
While we were listening to Steve Martin a moment ago, Morgan Shepherd stuck his arm out the window and was like shaking a fist at Kenny Rankin in car number 10. And Morgan is that kind of guy, but that's kind of dangerous. Had his arm stuck right out the window.
I think that's a nice way in stock car racing to say, if you don't get out of the way, I am going to move you out of the way, son.
Tommy Ellis will join our attrition board as he has just pulled car number 18 behind the wall. So Tommy Ellis out of Richmond, Virginia, who really is trying to make a go of it in Grand National Racing, has pulled his car behind the wall. But Richard Petty is still running among the leaders. He is in 5th place. And the King has had some problems this year with the Mike Curb team. We all know about the fact that next year he's going to reopen Petty Enterprises. Dale Inman, who was with him for so many years and they won so many races together, is going back. And there's a lot of excitement for Richard Petty for next year. But for right now, in 1985, in one of his final races with the Mike Curb team, Richard Petty's running awful strong here today in Charlotte.
Well, Richard Petty's going to give you 100%. The world knows that Richard's going back home, and he told me this morning, I'm going back home because that's where I belong, and me and Dale are getting back together, and you better watch us next year. But he's going to give Mike Curb 100%. He's going to do a good job for him, and it tickles me to see him have such a good day here in front of the hometown folks.
You see Cale Yarborough trying to unlap himself here. He has fresh tires on, and will probably do this with no trouble. Richmond will not be able to give him that much of a fight. And Yarborough down on the inside gets his lap back, and now the caution should come out as far as Cale Yarborough is concerned.
Yeah, Cale be comfortable now if the caution comes out. Here's A.J. Boyd coming into the pit, so I think he's probably got another problem. They're going to the right sides there with tires.
It is really tough for a guy like A.J. Boyd when you don't run but 2, 3, maybe 4 stock car races a year, and you haven't been to Charlotte in 8 years like AJ has not. It is tough to come out to this track and run well.
Well, it certainly is. Here we have Harry Gant coming into the pits. This is an unscheduled stop and was going to the right side for tires. Got a blown engine coming across the straightaway. This could hurt Gant bad.
We will have our first caution of the day as Lenny Pond has blown a motor. Caution is out on the racetrack. Harry Gant is in the pits, unscheduled stop, and this is going to hurt him. Lenny Pond in car 17 has blown a motor.
But
And
Harry Gant, it appears that Harry Gant is going to beat the cars out and not lose a lap. Here comes Tim Richmond. So hopefully Gant got in and out fast enough not to lose his lap.
And Harry Gant is indeed out and back on the racetrack. He beats Tim Richmond out.
And I'll tell you how wild that situation can turn out. If he made his pit stop, there's a good chance Harry Gant's going to be leading this race after everybody makes their pit stop. So bad luck could turn into good luck. You'll be right back on your feet again.
Well, pit boards are coming out all over the place down on pit road. We should see a lot of activity down there in just a moment.
Another good thing for Harry Gant, he changed 2 tires. Now he's going to come back in and change 2 more, where a lot of people probably have to make a 4-tire stop, and I think you'll see him be in good shape.
Lenny Pond, who is driving the Roger Hamby prepared car. Dale Jarrett tried to qualify that car and did not do it. Decided he did not want to drive it. It got in on a provisional start, and Lenny Pond was named as the driver of the Roger Hamby machine.
Well, here come the leaders. I think we're going to find out real quick now how we stand. This is going to give everybody a chance to change the tires they need to make the adjustments under caution. I feel like we're going to see what's going to happen now.
It is one of the most exciting things in the sport to watch is a Grand National pit stop. Johnny, if you would, tell us a little bit about what goes on during a pit stop. How many guys are we allowed over the wall, and what actually are they doing in there?
Well, there's 6 guys over the wall. We just had a collision. Harry Gant and Ricky Rudd ran in together on the pit wall, so this really messes you up. They've got Rudd trying to get his car straightened out. You can have the 6 men over the wall. They try hard to get their job done. It's really no communication. You jump in there, you work as hard as you can, get it done, and get him out. It just looks like a fire drill, but these guys know what they're doing. They jump in there, they do their job, and I hope everybody did their job. It's really a team effort.
And as we can see, the driving's really tight on pit road, and sometimes there's a little bumping and banging. As we saw Harry Gant and Ricky Rudd come together, there is damage to car number 15 on the right front. There is some damage. They tried to pull it out. Let's go down now to pit road and Jerry Punch.
We're standing in the Harry Gant pits. Moments ago, just before the caution came out, we saw Harry dive down pit road. The car was bobbing and weaving back and forth. Harry had told his crew chief, Travis Carter, they had a right front tire going down. They changed 2 right side tires. Out comes the caution flag. Gant makes his way out of the pits to try to stay on the lead lap. You see Ricky Rudd bringing the Motorcraft Ford back down pit road, heavily damaged the right front of the car. You see Bud Moore and the crew trying to put together the nose piece on the Ford Thunderbird. As Gant was coming in to make his second pit stop, Ricky Rudd was trying to get out of the pits. They came together. Rudd's car, you see the damage on the front of the machine. They're going to try to tape it back together. This will hurt the Ford Thunderbird down the back straightaway where aerodynamics are so important. Ricky Rudd in the pits losing time, but they are under caution.
What a tough break it is indeed for Ricky Rudd, who is in the top 5 of the point standings, but has not won a race all year long. And Charlotte's always been a good racetrack for Ricky Rudd out of Chesapeake, Virginia, and he was hoping it would be a good track for him today, but just a freak accident. It really hurts his chances.
Well, that'll happen. It shocks me that it happens at a place like Charlotte because you have so much room on pit road. On the short tracks, we're used to that, but it's just one of those bad breaks.
We are under caution here at Charlotte. Lap 96. Bill Elliott, Harry Gant, and Tim Richmond, the teams to beat. We'll be back to Charlotte after these words from your local. Caution still out on the racetrack at Charlotte. Ricky Rudd, he has finished 2nd at Bristol, 2nd at Martinsville. He desperately needs a win in 1985, and it doesn't look like he's going to get it today. 12 top 5s, 17 top 10. He is 5th in the point standings. Last time he won was last year at Richmond, and he has 3 career wins to his credit. He's one of those good young drivers and one of the future superstars in this sport.
Yeah, Ricky Rudd's definitely arrived, and he's a kid that I think is really happy with this ride. He's certainly coming into his own at this time. He's coming back down pit road.
Let's go down now to pit road and Steve Martin, who is standing by in that Ricky Rudd pit.
The number 15 car of Ricky Rudd suffered some damage when it tried to pull out of the pits. Harry Gant was pulling in, and the front nose is heavily damaged. They're going to put it up on the jack right now. Bud Moore and the crew over the wall. This is the 3rd time in this caution period that Ricky Rudd has been in the pits. It's been a tough race for him so far. Now he's off and away, a little bit of gas, and they've made the adjustment that they want to make as they get set to go to the green flag again. But a tough break for Ricky Rudd, who has won so consistently, especially since the Michigan race.
Well, the reason Ricky Rudd had to get down and away in a hurry is we're about set to go back to green here.
Yes, and he's going to have to run full bore to catch up with the end of the field, and this is going to hurt him. He's going to have to fight through all this traffic to get back into it. But Ricky Rudd is in a situation. I wouldn't count him out at this time.
Well, it's Tim Richmond, Bill Elliott, and Richard Petty. 1, 2, and 3 as the pace car is down now on pit road. They're winding through the gearbox, and it's going to be Richmond who is running side by side with Greg Sachs. But Sachs is a lap down. It is Richmond, Bill Elliott, Richard Petty, and now Darrell Waltrip is running 4th, and Jeff Bodine is in number 5 position on the racetrack. Waltrip and Bodine, a couple of names we haven't called yet today.
Do you notice how quietly Darrell Waltrip moves up? We haven't talked about him all day. Darrell Waltrip's just moving up, getting into the position he wants to be, and I think you'll be seeing him up front the rest of the day.
Well, you see Greg Sachs leading that pack. He has just gotten back on the lead lap. He started on the inside because he was a lap down. But it's Tim Richmond, your leader, followed by Bill Elliott. And you get just a good example there of how tightly these guys drive together. There he is, Darrell Waltrip, the current NASCAR Winston Cup points leader, who is running 4th. And he's run a very smooth and consistent race today.
Well, Darrell Waltrip, you notice Harry Gant jumping up under him now. Darrell Waltrip, he's not going to race you door to door at this time. He's just going to sort of let things happen. Harry drives by, makes a good move, jumps in there.
One thing a caution flag does, our racetrack was all spread out, everybody running in all areas of the racetrack at once. And now they're all bunched together, and we have some very, very tight racing. And the guys now have to really concentrate once again because there are people all around here.
Well, I think that's a magic of NASCAR. If you look at the stands, every single person in the place is standing up. It brings it all back. It's a brand new race. We got a brand new start. Now the cars have all been adjusted. They have new tires. Let's see what happens.
Well, Dale Earnhardt is making a bit of a move, and boy, the fans here really love that. And now Bill Elliott is trying to make a move to the lead on Tim Richmond. Elliott has pulled down low on Richmond, and Bill Elliott is going to take the lead away. And now Richmond pulls up alongside him on the high side, and Elliott just in front, and Elliott is your new leader.
You know, it's Richmond. He just doesn't give up easy. He won't let them just drive by him. He'll run you door to door. That's how competitive he is. But he's also smart enough to say, wait a minute, we can line up and pull out. I wish you'd watch Dale Earnhardt and that mess back there. Their cars going everywhere, jumping underneath each other. And here comes Harry Gant.
That is the battle for 3rd place. Earnhardt had it for a moment. Harry Gant says, hey, Dale, I want it back. They're running out here now like there are about 10 laps to go. These cars are really bunched up and fighting it out.
You notice on the pit stop a while ago, Cale Yarborough runs well. He's back in it now. I think you're going to see a good show from this point on.
Well, Dale Earnhardt has quietly moved his way into the number 3 spot. Harry Gant is 4th, and Cale Yarborough is 5th. As you said, Cale is back. Bill Elliott is the leader, and Tim Richmond is running 2nd. Richmond has had a good day today here in Charlotte. He started on the outside pull and has consistently been up there all day long.
Yeah, and once you get a roll like that, that means the car's working well, and they're probably not making a whole lot of adjustments, just tire stagger side. I think Harry Gant now is making a move, and the pit stop that he made certainly made a change because he's running to the front.
Here is Waltrip and Earnhardt. They are racing for 4th place, and Earnhardt won't let Darrell have it. Reminder of a short track race a couple weeks ago at Martinsville when those two fought it out for the finish on the final lap. But they know each other's driving styles very well.
Well, you notice they're giving each other plenty of room now because it's real early in the race. If this was coming down the last few laps, I think you'd see them a lot closer together and a lot more contact. But right now, everybody's going to play it safe and just run as clean as possible.
Dale Earnhardt, though, won't give them an inch. He wants 4th place all to himself. What's happening with Darrell Waltrip right now? He's the points leader. He knows he has to stay out here and run 500 miles today. What's going through his mind at this time of the race?
I think what's going through his mind right now is that Bill Elliott's running really well. He's about 5 positions in front of him, and he's going to try it. I think that's why he's moved right up there to sit there and say, well, I don't want this thing to get away too far. And I think his whole mind, he's thinking winning championship, and he's just going to play this race step by step.
Darrell Waltrip seems to have given a little ground now to Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt running 4th and Waltrip running 5th. Earnhardt comes from a racing family. His daddy Ralph was a big racer. He grew up around these racetracks. He likes nothing more than to be out here on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, Earnhardt, he's in heaven. I've seen him go from just being around to living with it.
Well, let's hear a little bit from Dale Earnhardt and what he has to think about this race and NASCAR. Oh, some problems with that. We'll get back to it in just a moment. But Dale, he lives it all the way, boy. He likes to take it to you on the racetrack, and he thinks of himself as one of those old breeds, a throwback, I think, as you were telling me this morning, to Junior Johnson and those guys.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt told me he was a dying breed, that he and Junior Johnson and all these old-timers, that was the great show.
Look at the move Cale Yarborough is putting on, and Cale Yarborough has passed Bill Elliott. And Yarborough is now your new leader. Cale Yarborough's car is working very, very well, and he has put his car to the front here at Charlotte.
Well, I know that makes Waddell Wilson really happy. As I said, they finally have next year squared away. There was a big chance that Cale might be going somewhere else or getting out, but they've got everything worked out with their sponsor, and they're excited. And I think Cale would like to prove to everybody that, hey, we can run with you anywhere at any time, and he's certainly proven that today.
Cale runs a limited schedule. He has won at Talladega. We're going to take a look right now at Cale making his move, and it's just like he got a sudden burst of energy to bypass Harry Gant and Bill Elliott. Look at him coming down low.
Well, the slow car's there in the middle, and that's got Harry Gant messed up. And there goes Bill and Cale flying by. Harry had just gotten by Bill almost, and then gets a slow car involved. And Cale saw that as an old pro, took advantage of it, moved to the front.
Of course, the number 28 team of Waddell Wilson and Cale Yarborough, their first year of running a Fords, and they had some problems early this year, and now seem to have had that car figured out.
Well, they have had problems. They've been very discouraged at times, but they've worked hard. They've never given up, and they've had a good attitude about the whole thing. They like the car. They've worked well with the Ford people, and I think they're comfortable, and I think that's exactly the way we'll see them next year.
And Bill Elliott is going low of Cale Yarborough and saying, hey, Cale, I want that lead back.
Well, I think one of the important things right here is Cale saying, here's Bill. Bill saying, can I beat Cale? Here goes Harry Gant jumping under both of them. This is a real test. We're playing like now. We're getting up to the last few laps. These guys would like to know early what their car will do and where can I pass and what part of the racetrack should I make my move on. So this really is a little test period for later on in the race.
We have completed 112 laps here at Charlotte. We will run 334 today. The front three are just going back and forth and splitting the lead among them. Cale Yarborough, Bill Elliott, and Harry Gant. Three of the best drivers out here on this circuit, and three guys who are very, very determined to win this race today.
Oh, there's just so much at stake today. And all these people are here. We're getting close to the end of the year. Cale Yarborough's not concerned about points, but the other two guys are really concerned. And hopefully, we're going to see an exciting finish.
Well, Cale Yarborough is the leader at the moment, and we'll return live to the Miller 500 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Mike Hogwood and Johnny Hayes back with you. Please be aware that your transmission may be interrupted by sun outages between 1:50 and 2:30 today. You may experience a poor quality picture during this period. Please do not call your local stations. This is a natural phenomenon and cannot be helped. Here's your leaderboard. Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, Cale Yarborough, Dale Earnhardt, and Tim Richmond.
I think Harry comfortably has the lead right now, and the reason that is, if you'll look right behind him, you'll see two cars racing side by side, and this surprises me a little bit. I feel like Bill would let Cale go on by and just follow him, so obviously Bill wants to race door to door just to see what he has.
Well, Tim Richmond and Darrell Waltrip also racing door to door out on the racetrack. That is the battle for 5th place. Dale Earnhardt is in 4th. And as you said, Elliott and Yarborough side by side for 2nd place. Cale Yarborough on the inside and Bill Elliott up high as David Pearson makes his way down pit road. And car number 21. There you see the Pearson pits as they go to work on that car, and apparently they're going to go under the hood, and that's been a problem finishing races with that team this year. Let's go down to our Good Wrench pit reporter now, Jerry Punch.
David Pearson on pit road with the car number 21 in Chattanooga Chew Thunderbird. It could be a short afternoon. A lot of smoke out of that car as Pearson in for an unscheduled pit stop. The crew, his crew chief's son, Ricky Pearson, looking on the left side of the engine. His other son, Larry, up there as well. Smoke pouring from beneath that car. It looks like it could be, the day could be over for David Pearson. He will push that car apparently back toward the garage. No, Pearson refires the car, and we'll see. They're going to just bring the car around behind the wall, possibly. And David's going to go out and make a lap or two, see if it's running any better, but they may put the car back in the garage area.
David Pearson, who has won this race in the past and has won at Charlotte and a lot of times here. He has won this race in 1974. He was the last driver before Elliott to win 3 of the big 4 super speedway races. That happened in 1976. But the last couple of years for David Pearson have really been kind of tough for him.
Well, yeah, David Pearson, he's one of my heroes. I tell you, David just doesn't have the time for the sport that he used to have. He's working hard. He's working with his sons, getting their program ready. David's coming back down pit road. It looks like he's slowing to make the hard left turn into the garage area.
David Pearson out of Spartanburg, South Carolina, and indeed he is going to join our attrition board today. An unfortunate day for David Pearson, as he will call it quits in car number 21. David Pearson's getting near the point where he will be one of those guys who say, I guess before long, that he might just hang up the helmet and let his sons take over.
Well, it's funny you say that. I talked to David this morning in the garage area, and I said, David, I heard a strong rumor that you about ready, you about too old to get this stuff done. And he said, absolutely not, Johnny. I am going to let my boy run 5 races for me sure next year, but I probably will run 8 or 10 myself.
Jimmy Smut Means, an independent driver in car number 52, is apparently slowing down and coming down pit road, and he may make that hard left turn as well, and indeed he will. It's tough for an independent driver these days to get out here and last for 500 miles.
I just don't see how they do it. It costs so much money now, and I'm surprised to see them stay like they do.
Let's go down back to pit road. Jerry Punch is in the Harry Gant pit.
We may be able to update on what happened with Harry Gant. Gant came in a little while ago with the unscheduled pit stop. Now, NASCAR has a rule you can only change 2 tires under caution. Well, Harry happened to be changing 2 right side tires under the green when the caution came out. So what was possibly a problem for Harry Gant turned to be a break for him. He came back in under caution, got 2 left side tires, so now Harry Gant has 4 fresh tires. Everyone else came in under caution, has only 2 fresh tires. Thus, Gant out front, running flawlessly. The car is really hooked up. He is running very well.
Harry Gant, who set a track record speed in qualifying, now has a 10-car length lead over Bill Elliott and Cale Yarborough. And when you got new tires on, you're able to run.
You know, I don't think most people realize how critical tires are to a race car. I don't care if you have the best, strongest engine in the world, the best handling car, whatever. If you can get good tires and get lucked by the draw and get everything to work and the stagger to work right, you can pull off and leave everybody. And I think Harry Gant's proven this now with being able to have 4 tires instead of everyone else having 2.
But a reminder that it is indeed a long afternoon here in Charlotte, and it was a long way to go for 500 miles. And Harry Gant, I'm sure, knows that, sitting in the cockpit of car number 33.
Well, I think Harry Gant in this situation is tickled to death. He's had a good run. And like we said in the last month, he's been the dominant person on the racetrack. He's still being dominant. He runs so well at Atlanta, so well at Rockingham. He runs well at Riverside. So I got a feeling Harry Gant sitting here saying, this year's not over yet. Maybe I'll sneak up on these people. Because Harry Gant earlier in the year won the Champions race and won $150,000, and nobody was counting on it.
There is smoke coming out of the car number 44 of Terry Labonte. We'll have to keep an eye on that for you. Harry Gant is your leader. Harry out of Taylorsville, North Carolina. He's been dominating in recent events. This Miller 500 stock car race is being brought to you by Miller Beer. Purity you can see, quality you can taste. Miller, made the American way since 1855. By GM Goodwrench Performance Parts. No one knows your GM car better than GM Goodwrench Performance Parts. By Goodyear, makers of the Eagle, the high-performance radial engineered for cars with proper qualifications. And And by Skoal Long Cut, the smokeless tobacco that makes it easy to enjoy tobacco without lighting up. Comes in mint and wintergreen, easy to use, great taste. That's Skoal Long Cut. Mike Hogwood and Johnny Hayes at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We have completed 127 laps here. Harry Gant is the leader. Bill Elliott is running second. Cale Yarborough third. Dale Earnhardt fourth. And Tim Richmond, who's run very, very strong today, is running in the number 5 position, as you see on your screen. Can't say enough good things about Harry Gant. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in the garage area. Always has time for you. Always has time to talk about things. And really appreciates being in this sport.
Yeah, Harry Gant's first class. Harry Gant makes about 60 to 70 appearances a year. He loves to go out and meet his fans. He really is a person that has not changed. Fame has not gone to his head.
Let's go down now to the garage area, and Jerry Punch, who I believe is standing by with David Pearson.
The latest retiree from the Charlotte Motor Speedway's Miller 500 is with me, David Pearson. And David, an afternoon that was ended in frustration for you. What happened?
Well, Jerry, to start with, I guess after about the first 25 laps, the alternator quit putting out, and the light come on, so I don't know where the battery was going dead or what it was, but anyway, I'm sure that's what caused the rear end, and the rear end went out on it. That's finally what happened to it. But the engine was running fairly good. You know, we haven't had any problem with it. That's the first time we haven't had engine problem this year with a Ford. So I was real pleased with it, and the car was handling just great. I could have asked for nothing no better. We didn't change a thing on pit stop, but same old luck that always happened all year. Something happened, so the rear end went out this time.
David, a little speculation. Today, earlier, we heard this car here, the T-Bird, had been sold, and after this race would make its way to Texas for a new owner. A lot of speculation that you may hang it up. You may take the helmet off for good now and call it quits, but then you and I were talking a while back. You said, no, you have plans for next year.
Well, to start with, I haven't got paid for this car yet. I'll put it that way. But the guy is thinking about buying it and wanting to buy it. He was here this week looking at it, and it's pretty sure that he will buy it. So, and as far as next year goes, we don't really know yet. All we know now is Chattanooga Chew is going to run Larry for the championship and the Sportsman again, and we plan on letting him run 5 Grand National races. So as far as me, I don't know where I'll run 5 or 6 races or not, so we're just all up there right now.
Well, the Silver Fox is not going to hang it up, and we don't want to see him hang it up. He'll be back next year.
David Pearson, one of the real heroes of this sport, has won 105 Grand National races. Last one in Darlington in 1980. He's 50 years old, and he's a great guy to have around. Here's our attrition update. These guys in the garage: Neil Bonnet, Benny Parsons, Lenny Pond, David Pearson, and Jimmy Smutbees out of Huntsville, Alabama. It's been a tough day for those guys, and I know it's going to be a long ride home to wherever they're headed.
Well, yeah, but the attrition rate's really not been that bad so far. We still have a lot of good cars out there. We have Kyle Petty coming down pit road right now.
Kyle Petty, 66 laps now behind the leaders. He spent a good amount of time in the garage area trying to get that clutch problem fixed. Has it fixed now, and this might be a routine stop for Kyle Petty, who is kind of out of sync with the rest of the pit stops because he spent so much time in the garage.
I believe that's the case because it looks like a routine stop. Came in, changed 2 right side tires, and he's back out.
132 laps complete at Charlotte. Harry Gant is the leader. Bill Elliott right behind him. Cale Yarborough running third. Dale Earnhardt and Tim Richmond fourth and fifth. And the field again getting strung out a bit. We have been under green so much today. Only 1 caution flag, and that tends to string the field out a bit.
Sure, but it makes for good racing. It gives everybody a chance to fill each other out. You'll notice that the cars just don't fall back too much. Bill Elliott's falling back a little bit, but he knows exactly what he has to do, and when he's ready to make his move, I'm sure he'll pull right back up with Harry. So this is a long race.
Well, Ricky Rudd, we've seen some problems on his car that we've talked about. Steve Martin is standing by now in the Motorcraft Ford pit. Let's go down to him now.
We're down in the Ford Motorcraft pit of Ricky Rudd, and I'm with Bud Moore, his crew chief and team manager. Bud, what was the extent of the damage to Ricky's car when he hit the Harry Gant?
Well, we were starting out the pits, and Harry pulled coming in and caught the right front and knocked the whole front end about off. It's busted up pretty bad.
How's it affected the way that Ricky's run so far?
So we're working on it. We're trying to hope to get a caution so we can streamline the front end again.
All right, that's Bud Moore. They've been feverishly working on that car right beneath us. They've been trying to get some ductwork fixed up and also tried to go into that headlamp, or what would be the headlamp area, and try to fix some of that to get the car a little aerodynamically cleaner. Right now, they're scrambling in the Ricky Rudd pit. They aren't losing much time, but they've got to get a caution flag soon.
Well, Well, Ricky Rudd is still on the lead lap. He's running in the 9th spot right now, so he's still not in that much trouble. Lake Speed is down in the pits. He pits right beside where the Ricky Rudd pit was. You perhaps saw the pit board coming out on him, and Lake Speed is in and down and away in a short period of time. Lake Speed is a guy who finished 2nd at Daytona in the very first race of the year, but since that day, he's had a tough season in 1985.
Well, they've been up and down this year, but Butch Mock and Bob Rahilly, his car owners, work real hard. They give it the best they can. They've had some good luck. They've had some bad luck. But overall, I think they're in pretty good shape.
There's your leader, who's in great shape right now. Harry Gant on lap 136 is the leader. As the field has spread out a little bit, we have been under green most of the day today. And if you're a stock car fan, a true stock car fan, this is the kind of race, the kind of day you like to see, where it's really man and machine going against one another.
Sure, the best cars are going to lead, pull off, and do that. When you get lots of cautions, it keeps bringing people back into the race. But I think you can watch these cars, see how they're running, and you know that these are the best cars here today.
Darrell Waltrip and Tim Richmond have been battling for that number 5 spot. Tim Richmond now owns it. Darrell Waltrip is running 6th. Harry Gant is your leader in Charlotte, and we'll return live to the Charlotte Motor Speedway after these messages from Dale Earnhardt. Has slowed down dramatically. He was running in 4th position. He is just coasting now as he enters pit road and comes down. Well, let's hope he's just out of gas, because it could be a number of things. His crew is signaling for him to come to the pit. Hopefully he won't take that hard left turn to the garage area. He went up against the wall a little bit, as you see some damage on the side of that car.
He hit the wall in turn 2, and he hit it fairly hard, and Dale had scraped it earlier today. You know, with Dale's style, you never know. He hits the wall a lot, glazing it, but now he's hit it hard.
Let's go down pit road now to Jerry Punch.
Dale Earnhardt has the Wrangler Chevrolet in the pits. They're working on the right rear quarter panel. Evidently, Earnhardt, as you heard Johnny Hayes say, had scraped the wall over in one of the bankings. They are beating some of that sheet metal away. The crew, Kirk Shelburne, the crew chief, at the right rear of the car. The car was not under power. It was coasting down pit road very, very slowly. As the car came by, the engine was shut off. Earnhardt now sits quietly in the car as they continue to work on the rear of the Wrangler Goodrich Chevrolet Monte Carlo.
And that will really hurt Dale Earnhardt's chances of winning the Miller 500 here today. Just about put him out of any chance he has of winning it. It's a tough break because he was running very, very strong.
Sure was. Now, I believe he bent something in the right front of the car because one of the crew members is underneath. Looked like he's working on a spring or a shock or an A-frame. So I think he has bigger problems than it looks.
He may be there for a while, and it will be a long day for car number 3, Dale Earnhardt out of Kannapolis.
Here come the jack stands, and that's never a good sign, so I think we've got a while to go. Anytime you put a car on jack stands, it's going to be a while before it goes out.
Well, right now, Harry Gant's hoping none of these problems happen to him. Harry has led 55 of the 100 and really now 60 of the 145 laps that we have run here, and he is looking awful strong. Bill Elliott running number 2.
Well, handsome Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina, is making all of his hometown folks real happy.
Well, Harry Gant is in 3rd place in the points championship right now, trying to catch Waltrip and Elliott. Does he have a chance at winning the points championship in 1985?
Not really an outside chance, but I don't even think about it really. It's so far away, 171 points from the lead, and only 4 races to go. We feel like we're pretty lucky just to be 3rd right now, and so you know, it's just you can just almost say you're not going to do it. You know, they may have to have a lot of bad luck, but still, it just gets you close to them, and you still wouldn't be leading. That's the thing about it. You got to be leading when you go to Riverside.
Well, he's leading this race right now, and I'm sure that is all that is on Harry Gant's mind.
Well, sure, and he's the same guy that told me, and I'm a good friend of Harry Gant. He's the same guy that told me in Taylorsville, North Carolina, that he had 0 chance at the IROC Championship. 0 chance. Don't even bother me with it. And he won the whole thing at $150,000, so I'm not sure I'm going along with that story.
Okay, Johnny. Dale Earnhardt is still on pit road. He is off our leaderboard, as we saw. Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, Cale Yarborough, Tim Richmond, and Darrell Waltrip. As you get a look at Dale Earnhardt, and it's got to be a very, very dejected Dale sitting inside there right now. After 200 miles, there have been 11 lead changes among 6 drivers. Only 1 caution flag, and that was for just 6 laps. That is why our speed is averaging at 147.262 miles an hour now through after 200 miles.
Well, when you have greens this long, you're going to lap a lot of cars, and you're going to lap a lot of good cars. So if something doesn't happen pretty soon, we're going to end up with 5 or 6 cars in the lead lap, and a lot of folks are going to be out of this race.
There are now 9 cars on the lead lap. 9 cars on the lead lap. As you look at Dale Earnhardt, they are still trying to fix car number 3. It has some very serious problems after Earnhardt tagged the wall. Please be aware again that your transmission may be interrupted by sun outages between 1:50 and 2:30 today. You may experience a poor quality picture during this period. Please do not call your local stations. This is a natural phenomenon and cannot be helped. Now let's go down to Jerry Punch.
We're still standing in the Wrangler pits, and they're having a little bit of a conversation here as to what the problem just was on the car. Kurt Shelmerdine, the crew chief of the car, talking to some of the crew. They did bend some of the steering mechanism in the front of the car. The car is having trouble steering. The toe end, meaning which direction the front tires will face, is out of alignment. The right front tire has been pushed in and actually will wear out a little bit easier now. They're trying to make some adjustments, but they have to bring him back in. They did change the front end settings somewhat that time, but they were losing so many laps they decided to go ahead and put him back on the speedway.
Ricky Rudd is the last car on the lead lap, and Dale Earnhardt looked like he had a very, very sick machine out there.
Yeah, I think Dale's pretty much history for today, because once you bend something on the front end of the car, he's going by us very slowly, and he's not going to do anything crazy, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him pull it in, because he's not really in the points chase at this point anymore.
Harry Gant is your leader, and then it's Bill Elliott and Cale Yarborough. There you see Harry, who is trying to put another lap on Bobby Allison in car number 22. Haven't mentioned much about Bobby Allison as he goes another lap down here, puts him 2 laps now down to the field. It's been a tough season for Allison after he left that Dygaard team, and now Bobby is trying to make it on his own here in 1985 and wondering about 1986.
Well, Bobby Allison, he's been a big champion in NASCAR. He's one of the top winners. He loves to race. There's strong rumors that Bobby Allison has made commitments next year. He will not have his own team. He will be driving for the Stavola brothers in a 2-car team with Bobby Hillin and the Stavola brothers. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen.
Dale Earnhardt is in, and he's going to take a left turn and take it behind the wall. They'll try to fix some stuff on the car and get it back out. You see the pace car there kind of blocking Earnhardt's way, because NASCAR requires you for an extended stop to take that car behind the wall and fix it. And that's just a safety mechanism, and they will try to get it fixed down there on pit road. Harry Gant is your leader still. Bill Elliott is trying to chase him down along with the rest of the field here at Charlotte. We'll return live to the Miller 500.
At the Wrangler G Chevrolet, Dale still sitting in the car. What happened out there?
We cut a tire down and going into turn 2, hit the wall.
How heavily is the car hurt, Dale? How bad is the car hurt?
I don't know. They're changing A-frames right now. You know, we've got this Wrangler Jean Chevrolet running pretty good. We're trying to win one for Goodrich and Wrangler, and, you know, it's just one of them days.
Well, Dale Earnhardt still inside the car. The crew working feverishly to get the car put back together. Let's go up to Steve Martin in the Harry Gant pit.
I'm talking with Travis Carter, Harry Gant's crew chief, our leader at lap 157. Travis, what's going to be the situation here? The halfway mark coming up. There's some money for the halfway leaderboard. Are you going to have to bring him in?
Well, it's going to be really close. I just asked him then what his fuel meter was on. The number he read back to me then means we're probably going to have to pit around 167. Maybe we might can go to 168. It's going to be really close.
You sure could use a caution right now.
Well, no, we're running where we need to be, and I'd like to see it stay green now.
That's Travis Carter looking at the halfway point, and that bonus of $10,000 for the car that runs out front. Right now, Harry's got it, but he may need gas before that happens.
Well, a lot of cars are already coming down pit road for what is regularly scheduled fuel stops here, and Harry Gant is going to have to make one. And personally, I think it's going to be very, very tight to make it to lap 167. We're on lap 159 now. Bill Elliott is in the pits. This is a regularly scheduled stop for the Elliott machine, car number 9, as he'll take on right side tires and will get a full tank of gasoline.
Bill Elliott's going for 2 right side tires, as you said, and we noticed earlier Richard Petty changed all 4, so we'll see how this all works out.
Just right side tires for Elliott, and tees down and away. This is, again, these are scheduled pit stops here for everybody all the way around. Second round of pit stops today. Elliott Carr is seeming to run very, very well out there, but he's been in second place where normally in a lot of these Speedway events, he's just taking it out front and led all day.
Well, I tell you, Harry Gant's run super all day, and Bill Elliott, he's running well. Bill's not going to punish that car. Bill Elliott is really thinking about this points championship. Now, Darrell Waltrip's about a half a lap behind now, and so this thing's pulling on off from Darrell. Darrell's a little bit off. Now, you never know about Darrell Waltrip because he'll play head games with you, and he'll ride out there and be comfortable, and you'll ride him off, and then, bam, you have a caution. He's back in front.
Well, there is Darrell Waltrip, who is half a lap now behind the leaders. He is running in 4th position, but he is a good half a lap back. Ricky Rudd is in on the pits. Rudd has gone a lap down to everybody. There are 8 cars now on the lead lap. The last car on the lead lap is Jeff Bodine in car number 5. But Darrell Waltrip has his sights set now on Tim Richmond, but Waltrip half a lap behind the leaders.
Well, this is one of the fun things about NASCAR racing. The points championship's going to go down to the last race, and it's not going to be settled here. But I tell you, Bill Elliott would love to beat Darrell Waltrip by enough points to get back in the lead. I think it'd do a lot for their confidence, and I think it would let the fans know, hey, don't write us off yet.
There are 30 points separating them, and 5 points for each different position when you're in the top 10. So Elliott's got to beat Waltrip by at least 5-6 positions to get that lead back.
Yes, and that can be tough because once you start lapping everyone, there'll only be 4 or 5 cars in the lead lap, and you can end up even being a lap down and not be that many points behind.
There are a number of cars on pit road right now. Jeff Bodine among them. Let's hear Darrell Waltrip's thought on Bill Elliott and what Waltrip thinks Elliott has to do.
Well, what happened to them is they had all their good luck at once. They won 10 races in a row practically, and if you spread those 10 wins out over a 28 race schedule, that means he won 1 out of every 3, but instead he won all 10 of them right in a row, so it makes him feel bad now that all of a sudden he's gone several weeks without winning one. Well, I know how that is. In seasons where we've had big winning seasons, 10 and 12 wins, we kind of spread them out. So when you'd start to get down a little bit, you'd win one and you'd come back. Right now, they need to win a race. If they're going to have a shot at the championship and really feel good about what's happening here, they're going to have to win a race.
We are under caution here as you see the Dave Marcus machine rolling to a stop. It may not make it down pit road. Dave Marcus, an independent driver out of Avery's Creek, North Carolina, a native of Westall, Wisconsin. $10,000 at stake on lap 167. The crew chiefs know that. We may run lap 167 under caution. We're on lap 164 right now. Now, the rule is if lap 167 is under a caution flag, the $10,000 award will be given to the leader on the 5th consecutive green flag lap after the caution. It sounds complicated, but after they go back to green, if we're on caution under 167, we've got to run 5 laps under green, and the leader then will be given the $10,000. And you know the crew chiefs know every bit of that rule. Harry Gant in the pits.
Well, Harry Gant's not only changing tires, they were making a chassis adjustment. You saw the crew member reaching in there to make a chassis adjustment. This is a tough situation, right? Because you don't know. You take on the tires, you make a chassis adjustment, but this is going to be a dash for $10,000, and everybody's going to really go for it strong.
Harry Gant, 11.8 seconds in the pit, an incredible stop. You see Terry Labonte coasting around. Labonte has had some problems today. We have noticed puffs of smoke at times from out under that car. Labonte not under power at the moment, and a very, very tough break for Terry Labonte, the defending NASCAR Winston Cup champion.
I don't believe Terry's going to be able to make it in. You can see Dave Marcus's car sitting at the mouth of Bent Road, and he wasn't able to make it back. Dave brought the caution out when he hit the wall, and it just appears that these cars are not going to make it all the way in.
Well, I'll tell you, since Johnny Hayes is the math expert in the booth, when we go to green, you add 5 to the laps, and we'll decide then which lap's going to get $10,000.
I never did real good in school, you know, so that's why I got into racing. We're not real smart, but we have a whole lot of fun down here, so don't count on us being real good on our numbers.
I guarantee you, every crew chief is good on the numbers. They will know what lap we will be running for the $10,000. They know every contingency award that is given in this sport, and they keep their drivers well informed.
Well, you know, I've always told you, we've been talking about these people all week. Drivers, they're not real smart, but boy, they know about money. They can add those dollars up because I've dealt with them.
Well, we're under caution here at Charlotte, and we'll return live to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And we're back live at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. You're looking at Terry Labonte, who has just come into the garage area. A tough day for Terry. He's out of the race. It's not all work here at Charlotte this week. Earlier this week, the guys had some fun out on Lake Norman. Take a look. Last Monday, drivers took time out from the tight Winston Cup point race to head toward Lake Norman near Charlotte. They were teaming with the top bass fishermen in the country in an event known as the first ever Bass and Gas Catch, Click and Release fishing tournament. While the competitors awaited the arrival of Frank O'Hill, the weighmaster for the contest, they enjoyed a breakfast of pancakes and sausage and prepared their tall tales and lies for the afternoon weigh-in. Then it was time for the unique Mr. Hill to give a frank interpretation of the rules.
Qualified. Starting position be assigned by luck of the draw. There will be 2 boats per row. You know, it's like one on this side, one on that side. With each successive boat, one behind the other, you know, one in the behind. You'll be behind in the next row. The speed, huh? You got any questions now? No questions? You ain't learned much yet, have you?
Now, if you understood all that, then you might want to enter next year's contest. The object was to catch a fish, weigh it, take its picture, and then let it go. Each team could return with only 1 fish for the weigh-in, and it had to swim from the dock afterwards to be eligible. The start was a first for a fishing tournament. Drivers were paired with fishermen, and a pace boat led the way as 6 rows of 2 lined up to take the green flag. It was difficult for tournament officials to handle because all fishermen are accustomed to sitting on the pole. So while the Bass Masters carried their rods, the Winston Cup men drove theirs and headed for secret waters on the shores of Lake Norman. Yes, this was the real thing with a cast of thousands. While the fishing was going on, Hydrosport put on a drag boat competition with drivers going in excess of 100 miles an hour to cover a quarter mile in less than 12 seconds. Then it was time for the fishermen to return for their way out, way in. Everyone knew that with all the pictures they were taking, this was going to be a photo finish, and that caused a lot of peer pressure at the dock. Actually, there was a serious side to the competition. The Bass and Gas was held in the interest of conservation and to benefit the Clean Water Foundation to support clean waters and a clean environment. Finally, the drivers matched their skills in the power skip race. It was a single elimination match race event where competitors raced through a half-mile slalom course. The results were a bit surprising. After the first round, only 2 drivers were left to battle 7 fishermen who won their heats. When it was over, the anglers prevailed, and the 1985 Bass and Gas tournament was history. We're back. Mike Hogwood with Johnny Hayes. A lot of fun on Monday. We are on lap 171. We'll run for the $10,000 on lap 175. There are only 3 cars on the lead lap. And Johnny, maybe you can explain what happened and everybody got a lap down. Tim Richmond is at the end of the lead lap. He is leading the pack right now. And then it's Harry Gant and Bill Elliott. Elliott is going by him on the inside, and Elliott looks like he will take over the lead away from Harry Gant.
And this is for $10,000. We've been trying to find out all along, what does Bill Elliott have? Is he playing games? We're talking $10,000 cash money. You're going to find out what Harry Gant and Bill Elliott have right now.
Well, the way we have it figured, it is lap 175 where they will run for the money. We're working lap 172 right now, where 173 laps are on.
Bill Elliott had just put Tim Richmond down a lap. Cal Yarborough is leading on the field, but he's on the front end. He is still down a lap. He's just unlapped himself. So the 2 cars running for the $10,000 are Bill Elliott and Harry Gant, and there's 2 laps to go.
2 laps left, and it is Elliott who has opened up now a 2-car length lead on car number 33, Harry Gant.
And Bill seems to be pulling away. And does that tell us that Bill Elliott has the car to win this race? I think it does.
Elliott has some muscle underneath him, and he's showing it right now. The leader in that pack there is Cale Yarborough, but Yarborough is at the end of the lead lap. Richmond has just gone a lap down. There are still just 3 cars that are on the lead lap here in Charlotte. Of course, Barclays American gives $10,000 to the leader at the halfway point. And you know that while these guys want to win the race, they know that the $10,000 is there. This is the money lap.
Bill Elliott's having no problem He's just pulling up, and he's going to win this $10,000.
Here he comes. Bill Elliott through the short chute. He's following Cale Yarborough. Bill Elliott across the start-finish line, and Bill Elliott has just won himself $10,000.
And Bill needs the money. He's had a hard time this year. I think he's only won $1,800,000. Help him little boy, Dawsonville, Georgia, to get back on their feet. I didn't even see them jump up in the air and celebrate. They just sort of stand around saying, well, we'll give that to Mama and them, I guess.
Dale Earnhardt is back in the race as $1 million Bill Elliott out of Dawsonville, Georgia, has just won the Barclays American Run for the Money. At the halfway point of this race, Bill Elliott is $10,000 richer. We have not had all that many cars that have dropped out of this race, but some awful big names have pulled in behind the wall and gone into the garage area. Here is our Goodwrench Performance Parts attrition update. Neil Bonnet is out, Benny Parsons, Lenny Pond is out, David Pearson, Jimmy Means. Dale Earnhardt, you saw on your screen, has just come back out on the racetrack. Dave Marcus and Terry Labonte is in the garage. A tough day for Terry. Let's go down now to Jerry Punch.
Terry, a tough afternoon for you in the Piedmont Airlines Chevrolet. I know it was a frustrating day for you. What put you out?
I believe it broke a crankshaft. That's what it looks like happened.
You know, your luck has just been unbelievable this year. If you didn't have any bad luck, you wouldn't have any luck at all. But yesterday, it seemed to turn around for you. You won the sportsman race here, but today, again, bad luck.
Well, I know it. It's tough. You know, the guys are doing an awful good job on the car, and we broke some things that really they don't have any control over, and that's what happened today.
Well, that's Terry Labonte out of it here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's go to Steve Martin on pit road.
We are in the pit of Bill Elliott, he and his crew have just picked up $10,000 for leading at the halfway point. Ernie, I guess, talking with Ernie Elliott, I guess we found out what Bill's car's got on that last lap when he held the lead.
Yeah, the car's running real good right now. We're just still trying to sort things out for the end of the race. You know, this is halfway. We're worried, you know, we want to be leading at the end of the race, too. So, you know, we're working on things, but we just like to thank Barclays American, you know, for putting up the lap, you know, the midway lap leader award. It's you know, it's something that's tremendous to race for, and all the competitors race for it just as hard as they do at the end of the race.
What are some of the things that you want Bill to work on right now?
Right now, we're just trying to sort out a chassis setup that works the best.
We're talking with Ernie Elliott in the Bill Elliott pit as Bill Elliott has the lead. He's got himself a chunk of bonus money, just picking up $10,000 for leading at the halfway mark.
You see Richard Petty on pit road. Petty has been a lap down, and he is coming in now to change right side tires on the car. This is not a scheduled pit stop, and apparently something amiss down there as you see them going at it with a sledgehammer, trying to pull some of the sheet metal away.
Well, Richard's not having any fun. This is tough when you've got this far to go and you come in and you're having these kind of problems. And so he'll just stay out there and do the best he can. But this really basically takes him out of the race.
Tough day for Richard Petty, who, as we mentioned a moment ago, is going to start up Petty Enterprises again next year. Dale Inman, who was with him for so long and is his cousin, will go back and join him in the shop. Matter of fact, Dale Inman's there today working on race cars for next year.
Well, Richard Petty, I talked with him early this morning, and he's tickled to death to get the family back together. He just wants to get this year over and get back to the good old days, he told me. So I tell you, Richard Petty's an inspiration to all of us because of his attitude. He's always smiling. He always has a good attitude. We have A.J. Foyt coming down pit road. Seems to have a problem.
A.J. Foyt went in the wall on turn 2. He hit the wall. Maybe had the same problem as Earnhardt, a tire going down. And for whatever reason, Foyt put his number 14 car into the wall, and now A.J. is down and stopped along pit road.
Well, A.J. Foyt, as you know, is hero material, and he enjoys this. A.J. Foyt's 50 years old, and I think he's having more fun now than he's had in a long time. He goes, he does the Indy cars, he comes back here and runs with us, and it's been a lot of fun to have A.J. here.
You see the straight marks on the side of the car, number 14, in his career, 96 starts, 7 wins, 29 of them in the top 5 of those 96 starts, and 36 top 10 finishes. His last win way back in 1972, and it's been 8 years since he's been at this track. Here is Cale Yarborough about to get put a lap down by Bill Elliott. And Elliott, the leader on the racetrack. That is not a battle for the lead, but simply a battle by Cale Yarborough to stay on the lead lap, and something that's very important to him.
Oh, yeah, this is just like going for the win, because if Cale gets that lap down and Bill pulls on off, then his day, he's in trouble. And it'll just show you how tough a race car driver Cale Yarborough is. Here comes Darrell Waltrip jumping right up with him, trying to get his lap back. So this is good racing right here.
That is Elliott and Waltrip, 1 and 2 in the points battle. Waltrip leads by 30 points, but right now Darrell Waltrip in car number 11 is a lap down. He is trying to make it up, and to make it up, he has to pass car number 9. And Bill Elliott is shutting the door on everybody at the moment, although Yarborough now on the backstretch on the inside pulls up even with Bill Elliott. And they are dead even as they head into the entrance of turn 3. And Elliott's car really seems to be working stronger in the turns, and he's able to pull away just a little bit.
Historically, Bill has worked better in the turns all year at all racetracks. When you check him, that's exactly where he's beating you so bad. His car gets through the turn so well. And I can guarantee you Ernie Elliott's hollering to Bill right now, there comes Darrell. And you see Bill, he step on it and go on and say, we'll see you later, Cale, because I got to get by Darrell. And Cale saying, well, you just try to get me, big guy.
It is quite a battle down there. A.J. Foyt has now gone behind the wall. He will join our attrition board. And A.J. Foyt out of Houston, Texas, came here, said, for the first time in 8 years. And A.J. involved in one of the most exciting fall races here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway 20 years ago today. A.J. Foyt, Dick Hutcherson were involved. And, quite a race, they say, but he's going to call it a day. A.J. Foyt.
And what's funny about that, Hutch and A.J. got together, fought, just tore each other up. And guess who A.J. Foyt's crew chief is today?
None other
than Dick
That's
Hutcherson.
Right.
Yes, sir. We don't hold grudges in racing.
Let's go down now to the garage area and Jerry Punch.
We're standing by with Dave Marcus from Wausau, Wisconsin. Dave, a tough afternoon for your Chevrolet. It's behind us, pretty heavily damaged. What happened?
Jerry, someone blew an engine. I think maybe Terry Labonte or Dick May. I don't know. I went in the first turn and the entire racetrack was covered with oil, and I hit it. I didn't have a chance. And, you know, whoever the spotter is down there, I feel like should have raged at somebody in the tower and told them to put a yellow flag up.
Dave, your season's sort of been coming together the last few weeks. You ran awfully well at Wilkesboro last weekend. You led for quite a while up there. That has to make you feel awfully good.
Yeah, the car's been running real good, Jerry. We've been concentrating real hard on getting it handling the last few races, and we've had a couple sponsors helping out, AEL, Transmissions Unlimited, and Prowler Travel Trailers, and you know, we're trying to get something put together for next year, and we've really been putting the effort into getting the car handling and trying to finish high in the races.
Well, Dave Marcus will not finish today, though, here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
188 laps are complete here at Charlotte. 334 laps make up the Miller 500. Right now, there are just 2 cars on the lead lap. Bill Elliott and Harry Gann in car 33. We'll return live to the Miller 500 in Charlotte.
And Bill Elliott has brought his car in and gotten it out in just 12 seconds. A good pit stop, filled up with some gas. That gets them a little bit back on sync as far as their gas mileage is concerned. They took on left side, or rather right side rubber, and they look to be in pretty good shape as they get back out on the track. But again, we're under caution. The flag came out on lap 191.
And there you see the car of Michael Waltrip, and Michael blew a motor heading down the front straightaway, and that is what brought out this caution flag. It is our 3rd caution flag of the day, and Bill Elliott beat everybody back to the line, and it kept Elliott and Harry Gann as the only 2 cars that are still on the lead lap as we're under caution. Now let's go down to the garage area, and Jerry Punch, who is standing by with A.J. Foyt.
A.J. Foyt, Supertex out of it here at Charlotte. A.J., looks like you've had a rough day today.
Well, I've had better days, but it's been a long time since we've been here, and we made some more chassis changes this morning for the race, and we just missed, and we were kind of lost all day long.
You've been running more NASCAR Winston Cup races this year, and looks like you had a good finish at Talladega, and the car's starting to come back together for you. I know Hutch has worked awfully hard on the car, and you owe a lot to him to get this car back competitive on this circuit.
Well, that's quite true. You know, we missed Hutch. You know, he had a broken leg today. He wasn't able to be out here, but we haven't been running some of the short tracks, and we're just behind a little bit right now. On the super speedways, I think we've caught up with them, but it's not over with yet.
Well, A.J. Foyt will park it here for the Miller 500, but Supertex will be back. You can bet your blisters he will be back here at Winston Cup competition.
Well, you see the white stuff on the racetrack there. That is the stay dry that they put out to soak up the oil that Mike Waltrip really dumped on the track as he came down through the first front straightaway. There's Eddie Bierschwale out of San Antonio, Texas, some heavy smoke has been coming out of the car number 6, which is prepared by D.K. Ulrich, and the crew chief on that car is former Grand National star Donnie Allison. But Eddie Bierschwel, a young driver out of San Antonio, has really had a tough time getting into this sport and getting it going. As you see the hood going up on that car, and it could be a long day for car number 6.
Well, I think one thing that's really important with the caution like we just had, when the caution fell, that would have left 2 cars on the lead lap. Cale Yarborough did beat them out of the pits, but he's got to go all the way around the racetrack, so he's got to hold off Bill Elliott and Harry Gant. So, but don't go away and think this is a 2-car race, because with the troubles you have and the stuff, everybody out there still has a good shot.
Well, you see Cale Yarborough in car number 28. He's right behind the pace car, but he's at the tail end of the lead lap. It's Bill Elliott and Harry Gant who are your leaders. Darrell Waltrip is a lap down, and Jeff Bodine's a lap down. Now Waltrip's in 4th place, a lap down. Bill Elliott's number 1. Last year in this race, Elliott won it. Waltrip finished 27th, and look at the points that Elliott gained. Now keep in mind, Elliott is 30 points down to Darrell Waltrip right now. The next race, which is 2 weeks from today at Rockingham, Elliott won that a year ago. Waltrip finished 4th, and Elliott gained 15 points. This is Bill's time of year, some of Bill's racetracks.
Well, Bill's always run good at these racetracks, and I think he is really trying to prove to all his fans, because he thinks a lot of people will quit on him. He thinks, you know, he has really been concerned that everybody feels like I'm out of this deal.
Atlanta, which he considers his home track. Of course, Bill from Dawsonville, Georgia, and Elliott finished 2nd there a year ago. And Riverside, which is the place where I think everybody remembers Bill Elliott's first Grand National win when it occurred at Riverside. Remember, it was raining, the track was slippery. Bobby Allison was running for the championship, but it was Bill Elliott who got his first NASCAR win there. This year, 24 starts, Elliott with 10 wins, but the point system is set up so that if you run consistent, you're going to get the points. Only 2 wins for Waltrip, but 15 top 5 finishes, 17 in the top 10. Waltrip has 2 more top 5 and top 10 finishes than Elliott, and it's Waltrip who's 30 points ahead right now.
Well, it's been exciting, and this is something that the race fans love. It gives everybody something to talk about, and you can't wait to get out to the next race to see who's going to get the job done, Bill or Darrell. Today's a situation where Bill has run better than Darrell, but Darrell is right there. If you look at the cars, there's Bill Elliott, there's Darrell Waltrip right behind him. Bill Elliott's in 1st place, Darrell Waltrip's in 4th place, 1 lap down. But anything can happen.
We are on lap 195. We're on under caution here as they still try to get work and get the track dried out and the oil soaked up from the blown motor from Mike Waltrip. There are 3 cars on the lead lap. There are 6 cars, 1 lap down, 9 cars still with a chance to win here today. We'll return live to the Charlotte Motor Speedway after this.
We're back at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're in the Richard Petty pits. There's a problem on the STP Pontiac. We're with crew chief Mike B. Mike, what's the problem in the Petty car?
Well, he said he got the wall up there. He said he just got into it. He didn't know what happened. And I doubt he bit the ball joints and knocked the caster out of the car. So I just put some caster in it so to stabilize the car up a little bit.
Can he drive the car now, Mike?
Yeah, I think so. We got it pretty much like, you know, it should be. We can't really tell. With bent ball joints so and stuff, you can't tell. You know, we just have to wait and see, you know, just try to finish it out.
Well, that's a story from the STP pits. Mike Beam and the crew, they're concerned about Petty's handling on the car. He ran awfully strong early on, but right now they're not that concerned. They may have gotten the problem fixed. Back upstairs.
Young Mike Beam, one of the upcoming crew chiefs here in Hickory, North Carolina, so many years. Spent crew chief with Kyle Petty when they were out of Petty Enterprises. We're getting ready to. There's more debris on the racetrack. We were just about set to go green, and they found some more debris out there. And we will stay yellow for just a moment. The attrition rate today has not been all that great, Johnny Hayes, and there's something to credit to these cars that they've been able to hang in there when we've been under green so much in this race.
Well, that's for sure, and a lot of the good cars have fallen out. That sort of shocks me, but we're just about at the 300-mile mark, and you know, this is the time that trouble starts, is that last 200 miles. If you're going to have a problem, that's the kind of problem you're going to have.
There's Buddy Arrington in the pits, and he's got a new sponsor on the side of the car, Motorsports Designs, today, a little bit more money, and he's still hanging in the race. Here's our attrition update. 12 cars are out of the race. Our Good Wrench Performance Parts attrition update. Neil Bonnet, Benny Parsons, Lenny Pond is out with a blown motor. David Pearson, Jimmy Means is out. Dave Marcus, who got in some oil and went to the wall in turn 1. Terry Labonte is out. Tommy Ellis, Dick Trickle in the 09 car is out of the race now. So is Don Paul in car 53. A.J. Foyt got into the wall and had to leave the race. And Mike Waltrip, who's the reason we're under caution right now, is out of the race with a blown engine. Your leader, when we will go back to green, will be Bill Elliott. Cale Yarborough is at the tail end of the lead lap. He is leading the field as we head down. 3 cars on the lead lap. There are 6 cars who are 1 lap down, and I think all those 6 feel they still have a chance to win this race. Let's go down now to Jerry Punch, who's in that Cale Yarborough pit.
We're standing by in the Cale Yarborough pits, and Waddell Wilson, the crew chief for Cale Yarborough, standing with us. Waddell, you got to feel awfully good now. Cale has made that lap back up.
Well, you know, we've got down a lap, we've come back, we've got down again, and what a day this is turning out to be. And you know, the car's running okay. It's just we're having some bad breaks. We couldn't go as far on fuel as Harry could. Of course, I don't think anybody else could either. But the 9 car was able to get back out in front of him, and that's put the 2 cars in the lap by themselves.
The car looks awfully strong, though, out there. When he does have a chance to run with some clean track under green, the car looks extremely strong.
Well, you know, we feel good with the car, and Cale's comfortable in it. It's just we're just not getting no breaks today.
Well, that's what you need in racing. You got to have the brakes to win, but they are back on the lead lap, although they're just behind the safety cars. We get ready to go back to green.
199 laps are complete here. 200 laps will make up 300 miles, which means that we are now 3/5 of the way through the Miller 500 here at Charlotte today. You may see the number 11 car of Darrell Waltrip, who was pulled down on the inside. If you're a lap down or more, you're allowed to restart down low, and Waltrip will be trying to get his lap back when we go to green.
Oh, he will for sure, and I think this is an important thing to look at, because Darrell, here's a chance that we can see Darrell Waltrip show his hands. If he has a car that can win this race, he's going to have to show us right now, because he needs to get that lap back. And of course, Cale, he's run well, and he's going to try to hold Bill off. Now, Bill Bad will want to put these guys a lap down, so this is going to tell us something right here.
And Jeff Bodine, who is listed in the 5th position on the racetrack, is tucked in right beside Darrell Waltrip right now, and I know Jeff Bodine, he's going to be trying to get his lap back too, so we should see some really fantastic racing when we go to green here in just a moment as the cars are led down the back straightaway, and our word is the pace car will pull down on pit road this lap, and we will go to green. Dale Earnhardt out on the racetrack now. We've talked about his problems today. He is 27 laps now behind the leader. Eddie Bishwell is smoking. He has been black flagged once, and Eddie Bishwell not running well at all and putting a lot of smoke out of that car.
Well, everybody up front knows he's out there, knows that there's a possible caution could come out again, so we're going to really have a shootout here. This is critical.
Well, they're coming through turn 4 now, heading into the short chute and winding up down through the gearbox. And Cale Yarborough leads them off, although he's at the tail end of the lead lap, and Darrell Waltrip gets his lap back here.
Woo, Darrell got right beside. He and Cale touched.
He and Cale have touched. Bill Elliott is caught back in the pack a bit on the high side of the racetrack. He is still the leader. Tim Richmond is trying to get his lap back. Jeff Bodine has his lap back. And now Bodine, who is really moving down low on the racetrack, Waltrip has the lap back. He's on the lead lap. Cale Yarborough in car 28 is on the lead lap. Tim Richmond is now back on the lead lap. So is Jeff Bodine. Bill Elliott is in the middle of that pack, but he is leading the race at the moment. Harry Gann in car 33 is tucked in right behind him as they head now down towards turn 1.
There's a lot of crew chiefs, a lot of drivers praying for a caution right now, because it could put you back on your feet. And here comes Harry Gann diving under, trying to get by these people.
Harry Gann puts Tim Richmond a lap down. Now every car Harry passes here goes a lap down. Jeff Bodine, car 5, now goes a lap down. Harry Gann is the new leader. As the cars now come around down through turn 4, Harry Gann is the leader, and he is going to go to work now on Cale Yarborough. As Waltrip and Yarborough are now on the lead lap, Harry Gann is going to try to go to work on it.
This is good, tight racing. This is what we all love to see and come to see these things for. These cautions put everybody back together. We're going to find out who has what right now. Here comes Cale diving under Darrell.
We still have a ways to go in this race today. Darrell Waltrip is starting to show some muscle right now. Is this the time that Waltrip's going to start coming to the front? As we see Harry Gann trying to put them all a lap down. Gann going low to the inside, almost 3 abreast as they come down the straightaway. And Gann and Yarborough side by side. And it's Waltrip, though, who is now able to pull away just a little bit and stay on that lead lap. It's Waltrip showing what he's got right now.
Absolutely. He's driving as hard as he can, and he's hoping for a caution, but that shows you how strong Harry Gant is. He's jumped by everyone. Well, Bill Elliott's sitting there saying, great, Harry, you go ahead and do the work for me, and this will just leave me and you in the lead lap. And Harry, if he gets by Darrell, then Harry Gant is strong.
Well, now it's Darrell Waltrip who's going to fight for his life here and fight to stay on that lead lap. Johnny, let's talk about this racetrack. We mentioned before that it's very difficult to drive here. It's a tough track to get around, as we see Harry Gant now putting his machine ahead of Darrell Waltrip, and he's going to put Waltrip a lap down. Especially this time of the race, it's got to be tough to drive when you're just starting to get a little bit tired and worn.
Well, the strategy here is always tough because you've got to get your race car working right. You need the horsepower, but most of all, you got to get a good set of tires, and you've got to hope that your car is working well. Harry Gant, I'll guarantee you, has a good stagger combination now because he came back there in 5th or 6th place. He's gone by all these supercars, and these are the good cars up front. Now, these are the guys you have to look at to win the race. And Harry Gant just showed his hand. Bill Elliott obviously has dropped back a touch. Maybe his tires are not that good this time.
But as long as Harry Gant stays out there, that means that Harry and Bill Elliott are the only two cars that are on the lead lap. Of course, Harry on Thursday set a qualifying record with a speed of 166.139 miles an hour. Here's the race summary as we take a look at the leaders, and you'll see that Harry Gant and Bill Elliott are 1 and 2. And after 300 miles, 14 lead changes among 6 drivers. There have only been 3 caution flags in those 300 miles for 23 laps. The average speed has been 138.284. It's been a fast race today here in Charlotte in the Fall Classic, the Miller 500. Our leaderboard: Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, the only 2 cars that are on the lead lap. Darrell Waltrip is a lap down, so is Cale Yarborough, and so is Jeff Bodine. And Harry Gant has shown a lot of strength to put those guys a lap down. Working lap 208 now. And you see the distance now that Harry Gant has begun to stretch out, not only on Cale Yarborough and Darrell Waltrip, but also on Bill Elliott. And I imagine that Bill Elliott might not have gotten a good set of tires the last time he came in.
Well, I think it's not good or bad tires. It's the tire stagger. It's when they prepare the tire. Did they put the right amount of air in the tire to get everything set up right? A lot of times it's a guessing game. But you have Dale Earnhardt running side by side with Bill Elliott, and that certainly slows him down. Harry Gant obviously hit a good combination because these cars behind him are in a straight line running as well as they can, and he's pulling away. So Harry Gant has hit the right combination.
Harry Gant pulling away has now almost a 4-second lead over Bill Elliott, who is running in 2nd place. Now you're Gant, now you're Elliott. What's going through their minds now? Are they just trying to maintain and just hang there and stay there? They know there's a long way to go today.
Sure, they're going to take care of that race car. They hope everything's going to go well. They're not going to do anything crazy at this point. I noticed on that lap, Bill Elliott went really high through 3 and 4. You see him going up through 1 and 2, he's running very high. His car is not working properly like it was earlier, and he's just going to have to live with this thing till he can get back into pits and make an adjustment. Harry Gant, obviously his crew chief, Travis Carter, hit on the right combination, and he's running well and dominating the race because, trust me, if any of those guys could get by him and get their lap back, they would be by him because they want to be in that lead lap.
And nobody drives any harder with any more determination than Cale Yarborough, who is right now trying to chase down Harry Gant.
Well, Cale Yarborough is first class in every way. And as I said earlier, hey, if I used to own one of these race cars, and I tell you, Cale Yarborough is just a class act. And if I owned a race car and I wanted to put a driver in it, my #1 choice would be Cale Yarborough. He's a fighter. He knows how to drive a race car. He's been through every situation. He is a class act.
A tremendous desire to win, too.
Loves it. And he also loves money. I think maybe that probably motivates him because every time he wins, he makes more money, and he's rich already, but he likes to share it with his little girls and take care of his family.
I understand from you that money motivates a lot of these guys we're seeing on the racetrack today.
Oh, it's amazing. I never realized money had so much horsepower because I never liked money myself. I just sort of enjoyed riding around in a pickup truck, but they are doing a heck of a job.
Harry Gant now with about a 6-7 car length lead over Cale Yarborough. Richmond and Waltrip, Tim and Darrell. This is the battle for 4th place here. They are both a lap down, and right now it is Tim Richmond who is out in front by 2 car lengths. And we have said so earlier today, but it has been a strong showing for car number 27, Tim Richmond, here at this racetrack. Rusty Wallace is now coming down on pit road, which should be an unscheduled pit stop, and he has had his problems this year. Rusty Wallace will take a hard left turn and put his car in the garage area. So the Pontiac of Rusty Wallace in car number 2 is out of the race. And all you can say for the defending Rookie of the Year, he was Rookie of the Year in 1984, his sophomore season has been a very, very tough one.
And that happens a lot of times in the sport. Rusty Wallace has done a good job, but Rusty Wallace has just had bad luck this year. They've had problems, and he's certainly proven to all of us that he can drive a race car, and it's just a matter of them getting back on their feet.
Sterling Marlin car, number 95, is smoking, and somebody's going to have to back climb. Excuse me, that is Mike Alexander. Sterling Marlin drove that car for a portion of the year, but Mike Alexander is in the ride today in car number 95, and there is some smoke coming out of the back end there, and undoubtedly he will have to come down into the pits. Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, the only 2 cars on the lead lap, and we'll return live to the Miller 500 in Charlotte, complete here in Charlotte. Mike Hogwood along with Johnny Hayes, and there is your leader, Harry Gant. Handsome Harry on the pole today, and he's been a tough customer to beat. Bill Elliott is number 2, and he's the only other car on the lead lap. Cale Yarborough, Tim Richmond, Darrell Waltrip are all 1 lap down.
Harry Gant's been the hottest thing in racing the last 5 or 6 weeks, and he's proving that he has not lost anything for this race.
We've talked about Cale Yarborough. Now here's a guy who is just fighting like a dog, tooth and nail, to get his lap back. But that's just the way he drives. He is that kind of person. We talked to him earlier this week about how that Ford Thunderbird has been running during this Miller 500 week.
Well, it looks real good, Johnny. The car's running good. It seems to be handling well. We have had a lot of bad things happen to us this year. Just really rotten racing luck. Waddell's done a fantastic job with this Hardee's Ford. It's just that we can't go all day, it seems like. But I feel like that we're in good shape for the Final Four race of the season.
Well, Cale Yarborough, you talk about tough luck. He had some tough luck with the tires earlier in this race, and that's probably the main reason that he's a lap down right now instead of running for the lead with Harry Gant and Bill Elliott.
Well, Cale, if his car will go, Cale's going to be there, and you see he's really right now, after this stop, the second best car on the track. Harry's still leading him. Cale, ooh, he just went a little sideways coming off of 4, and that shows you how hard the man drives. He's not letting up an inch. He's sitting there thinking, I got to get this darn lap back before the caution comes out. Bill Elliott's dropped back a little bit. Harry Gant's pulling away at this time.
Whenever we see the guys loose, we see them a lot of times getting loose on turn 4. Why is that?
Well, turn 4 is the hardest turn on the racetrack to get out of. It's like turn 4 at Darlington. When you come out of there going into this tri-oval, if you don't have the exact right line, the rear end will kick out from behind you, and you're flirting with that wall every time.
There you see Morgan Shepherd. You see him getting close to the wall. You saw a little bit of debris pop up there. Morgan Shepherd is trying to have his run of the year, 1985, in car number 16. Harry Gant looks like he's out for a Sunday ride now in car 33. 223 laps are complete. 334 will make up the Miller 500. Here is our Goodwrench Performance Part Attrition update. Bonnet is out. Parsons is out. Hahn blew a motor. David Pearson is out. Jimmy Means is out of the race. Dave Marcus got into the wall. He's out. Labonte blew an engine. Ellis is out. Dick Trickle is out. So is Don Paul, A.J. Boyd, and Michael Waltrip in car 23. Darrell's younger brother is also out of the race right now. Rusty Wallace is out. So is Eddie Bierschwip. Now, Jerry Punch is standing by with what must be very disappointed Rusty Wallace.
Rusty, your Aluguard Pontiac is now here in the garage area for the afternoon. What put you out?
Well, yeah, Jerry, the car blew up engine, and I really don't know quite what caused it, but it just tightened up coming down the back straightaway, and finally it blew up, and it's a bad deal because the car was running fairly well. We had the chassis off a little bit. We were probably going to conquer that, but we'll be at Rockingham next week.
You've had a rough year. The Cliff Stewart car has really had its problems this year. I know you've had some engine trouble, but you've been working awfully hard on that problem.
Well, I really don't know what's causing everything, and if I did, I'd fix everything, but it's just it's one of those deals where a team gets herself in a rut and can't seem to get out of it. And I hope next year it'll all straighten out for us because, you know, I'll be working real hard for the team, trying to put everything together along with Darrell Bryant and everybody. It's, you know, we've got the drive to do well. It's just you just can't get this monkey off our back. This is a lot of inches this year, and I don't know what's causing it.
Well, that's Rusty Wallace. Tough day for Rusty. A tough day for Sterling Marlin, who is in the 00 car, which has been driven a good portion of this year by Morgan Shepard, but driven today by Sterling Marlin, who was the son of Cuckoo Marlin, who was a regular out here for so many years. And Sterling's just another one of those guys that's had a tough time breaking into the sport.
Yeah, and Sterling, he's a past Rookie of the Year, a great young kid. He's the kind of kid we need in this sport. We're getting a lot of people are getting older and older, and we need some of these young kids back in this sport. And I hope that a guy like Sterling Marlin can get a quality ride.
Well, let's hope so. He is definitely out of the race for today, and a tough break for him. There's Harry Gant, your leader, who just seems to be coasting right now. There's a lot of distance between him and the rest of the cars, and the field is very, very spread out right now. Darrell Waltrip is in 5th place. He is a lap down. He is trying to run down Tim Richmond right now. You see Dale Earnhardt in car number 3, 27 laps behind the leaders, but he's running like he's running for the lead.
Yeah, that's Dale. If he's going to be out there, he's going to run full speed. He doesn't care. And you can see the car was smoking a little bit coming out of the turn, so I think Dale has more problems.
Well, it's been a tough day for Dale Earnhardt, but he likes to put on a good show here. And now the black flag is coming out for Mike Alexander in the number 95 car, and he will have to come around. Apparently he is losing some oil and will have to come in down on pit road and get that problem corrected and checked out. Harry Gant and Bill Elliott, and there is Alexander in car number 95, who spent a good deal of time down on pit road trying to get his problems fixed. Apparently has not been able to do it. And this is another guy who has had a lot of success on short tracks and other circuits in racing and really wants to make it in Grand National racing. Mike Alexander, who's out of Franklin, Tennessee, near Darrell Waltrip's home, and Alexander really wants to make it. And there are a lot of people in this garage area down here who are pulling for it.
Sure, we all want to see these young kids get the break they need, and we do need to develop these people and bring them along, because we got a bunch of old-timers out there, and they still get the job done. But one of these days, several of them are going to step down. They're going to all step down at the same time. We need these young new heroes to come along.
Well, Bill Elliott certainly heads the list as one of those young new guys, even though he turned 30 years old yesterday. Bill Elliott is certainly been the dominant factor this season. Here's a battle for 3rd place between Tim Richmond and Cale Yarborough. Some good racing here, and Richmond doesn't care if he's a lap down. He still wants 3rd place away from Cale Yarborough. You see him taking the low side around the racetrack, and Cale Yarborough on the high side, and it's going to be Richmond who comes out in front. Down the back straightaway they come, and Tim Richmond is now in 3rd place. Cale Yarborough tracks back to 4th. Is that the best place to pass here at Charlotte, to go down low? Is that the best place to get somebody?
Yes, if your car's working properly, that is the place to get, because it's really tough to pass someone on the outside. So you're always trying to look for that inside groove. Cale Yarborough's dropped back a little bit. That means his car's just not working as well as it was. Harry's pulling on off. Tim Richmond's coming up. His car's working the same, coming along fine. We got a problem in turn 2.
That's Kenny Reagan, who is driving the Dygard R&D Ford today. Kenny Reagan in car number 10. You see he has got a flat right front tire, and he got into the wall just a little bit. Kenny Reagan, who is, I guess, was given the ride today to say, hey, what can you do? He's a youngster who has driven ARCA cars for a couple of years and has driven a little bit of late model sportsman, but this is really his first good Grand National ride here today. Gary Nelson prepared the cars, the Dygard Research and Development Team, car number 10.
Well, Kenny Reagan, as you know, broke his neck not too long ago at Talladega, Alabama. It's a heck of a comeback for him, and I'm really glad to see him get this kind of opportunity.
Some heavy damage to the right side of the car as they pulled down on pit road and into the pits, as you can see it there, the back end and also the right front, and a simply demolished right front tire, and they'll have to do some work on that car to get Kenny Reagan back out on the racetrack.
One of the neat things about Harry Gant having such a good day, one of his car owners, Hal Needham's been doing a movie for the last 8 weeks up in Canada, and they welcomed him back, and Harry's putting on a great show for him. But they told Hal when he came in, hey, if we have a bad day, you're not getting to come back anymore. I don't care if you own the car, because we're on a roll. So I'm sure Hal's real excited because he's probably going to get to come back.
Al Needham, famous movie director and producer, and he really loves this sport of Grand National Stock Car racing.
Oh, it's neat. Yes, he just fell in love with it. He used to be a racer himself, old dirt track racer out in California, world's greatest stunt man. And we begged him to hop in one of these Grand National cars, but he's not quite that crazy.
Harry Gant is your leader. Bill Elliott is running second. The only 2 cars on the lead lap. And we'll return live to the Charlotte Motor Speedway after these messages from your crew. Mike Hogwood, Johnny Hayes back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 237 of 334 laps are completed. Harry Gant is our leader. Bill Elliott is running second. Big announcement at a hotel in downtown Charlotte last night. Coors Beer has decided to re-up with Bill Elliott for 3 more seasons. And these sponsors that you see on the side of these cars really put a lot of money into what enables all these teams to be out here. And to be a matter of fact, Anna Owens took a look at what NASCAR sponsorship really means to these drivers on the racetrack.
In the world of professional athletics, sponsorship is a well-known and highly accepted practice. And in NASCAR racing, sponsorship is a lifeblood that keeps this sport successfully on the track. Everything is for sale, if the price is right.
There must be someone who
Without sponsorship, I don't think the sport would have grown to what it has today.
It gives you good cars, it gives you good people, and it gives you a better chance of winning the race.
Without all these funny-looking patches, none of us would probably be here.
Race teams spend $30,000 to $40,000 a race. Multiply that by the season's 28 races, and the cost soars.
Big wreck.
Intercorporate
We have had an accident here on lap 240. It is Ron Bouchard in the Valvoline Buick car number 47, who rode up against the wall on the front straightaway.
Phil Parsons also hit the wall very hard, a lot of front end damage.
Phil Parsons is also into the wall, as you said. He is sitting, and the car is resting now just at the exit to pit road down on the front straightaway. A large crowd around the fence, as you can see, around Ronnie Bouchard. There's the car of Phil Parsons. Phil is moving around inside the car. You can see that. Hopefully he's okay. No word yet on Ron Bouchard. Caution obviously out on the racetrack here as Ron Bouchard tagged the wall.
Ron Bouchard had been loose coming out of 4 all day, and it just seemed to come in here and lose it. And I don't know if he blew an engine, because he must have put something on the racetrack, and Phil, in dodging it, lost it also and hit the wall. So I think he just hit the oil.
Phil Parsons was down low and tried to get out of the oil and just could not do it. We'll take a look again at some of it as you see the safety equipment get it. Look at Ronnie Bouchard. He's coming out and showing to the fans he's okay. Here's Bouchard in the wall, and that's a place you don't want to be here in Charlotte. Ronnie Bouchard is out, lifted his hand to the fans, said he's okay, and got a nice round of applause. He's walking across the infield right now, and he's going to walk down to his pit and say, hey guys, I'm okay. There's the safety crew out there, but Ronnie says, hey, I don't need you, I'm okay. And he is walking across the infield now and is headed on down to pit road. Not even limping, just a test to the safety, really, of these cars here that they build with the roll cages and everything. It was really safe inside those machines. As you see, Ronnie Bouchard out of Fitchburg, Massachusetts, had a kind of a tough year this year. But Ronnie, I know, is disappointed, but he's not hurt.
Well, NASCAR does a wonderful job enforcing the rules and making sure those cars do stay safe. And you can see the ambulance is pulled off, and that tells me Phil Parsons is okay. He's sitting in the car. They're backing a wrecker up to him.
Let's go down now to Jerry Punch on pit road.
We have Ronnie Bouchard standing with us, and Ronnie, you took a heck of a lick out there. First of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just kind of run along the wall sideways there. It didn't really hit as hard as it looked, I don't think.
What happened out there?
Well, we come off the turn, and I was going around a slow car, I believe 64, and I got a little bit loose, and I think that 90 car just kind of gave me a shot in the rear end. When he did, he turned me sideways and got me in a fence.
Well, the Valvoline Buick looks like it's pretty well used up.
Well, it really is. It's a shame. Brand new race car, and it just keeps putting us behind.
You made an announcement that you will be back with this team for next year. I know Jack Beebe, your car owner, also was excited about the fact that you have landed sponsorship for the full year next year.
Well, as it looks right now, I guess everything will go back together next year about the same, but we're not even really sure on that yet.
Well, Ronnie Bouchard, we're glad to see you out of the car in one piece, and hope you have a good run next time at Rockingham.
Thank you very much.
Ron Bouchard, a tough day for him. And the 64 car that Ronnie was talking about, being driven today by Clark Dwyer, and the 90 car that he said that was touching him, that is Rookie of the Year contender Kenny Schrader. And all those cars have come down around pit road, and a number of cars have taken advantage of this caution period to come down and make some adjustments on the car. It'll be interesting to see what kind of adjustments Bill Elliott has made.
Well, it's important also to let all the Phil Parsons fans know that he is fine. They're pulling the car out for him, so I think everything went smooth there.
There is Phil Parsons. You can see him standing there, and it's good news that they're all okay. We are under caution. 2:44 is the laps that are complete. We'll return to the Miller 500 following these messages.
Phil first, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, Jerry.
Tell us what happened out there.
Well, I'm not sure. Bouchard got up into the wall, and I was slowing down trying to miss him. It was right in front of me. And I had the thing, you know, pretty well slowed down, and I was on the brakes going straight, and then all of a sudden the thing just swapped in. So I don't know whether I ran over some debris from his car or what. I don't know what happened.
Looks like the car is just pretty well gone.
I really didn't look at it.
Well, Phil, we're glad you're in one piece, and there'll be other races for Phil Parsons down the road, but he's okay here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
I guess when you tear up a car like that, you don't want to look at it. You just want to get out and walk away.
Well, I tell you, that tears me up. Phil Parsons is my neighbor up on Lake Norman, and I had to ride home with him tonight. And you can see he's not in a real good mood.
You better drive.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely drive or I'll walk.
Lap 246 is complete. We are still under caution. There is the car of Phil Parsons, and indeed there is a lot of damage to car number 66. Harry Gant, Bill Elliott are your leaders. Tim Richmond got out of the pits very, very early. He is back now on the tail end of the lead lap. It'll be interesting to see if Richmond can stay there. Another story will follow is Bill Elliott running any better now? They come in and had an opportunity to make some adjustments on that car.
And that's one of the neat things about NASCAR racing. Every time you have a caution in a pit stop like this, it's a whole new ball game. So we'll just have to wait and see.
You know, we have seen a lot of spectacular accidents in this sport, and all the time they come out more often than not able to walk away from it. So it is very, very special for NASCAR to have put all the safety features in that they have done. And let's take a look at a feature that we call simply After the Crash.
Yarborough gets out of shape.
Spin-outs, crashes, multiple car wrecks, rollovers, and massive flips are a natural element of stock car racing. The end result means mangled, crumpled cars and occasionally injuries or even death to the drivers involved. 1983, Cale Yarborough attempts another 200-mile-per-hour qualifying lap at Daytona.
The day of the Daytona wreck, I had to run the Busch Clash a couple hours later, so it's just something you have to block out of your mind. Don't think about it, and you got a job to do, and you have to do it.
The most violent wrecks occur on the ultra-fast super speedways. Phil Parsons had a wild tumble on the Talladega track.
It was pretty painful the times it came down. It's not too bad when it's up in the air flipping around, but when the car comes down, that's pretty painful. And each time it came down on the racetrack, it hurt pretty bad. So I was just hoping to get through it.
And in '84, Ricky Rudd's car fell apart as it went through sickening flips at Daytona.
The thing that helped me a lot probably in that wreck is that I blacked out first time I crashed, first time I hit on the first flip. Didn't remember a whole lot of that violent flipping and spinning around in the air, so that probably helped me a little bit as far as not having to worry about getting back in the car again.
But why do these and other drivers, often suffering pain, come right back and get under that steering wheel to face the same dangers again?
And anybody that's been in this game has been in some bad crashes at one time or other. But it's just something you have to block out of your mind. You can't let it get to you. If you let it get to you, you might as well quit. So I just try not to ever think about it again and go on down the road.
I think it probably has a lot to do with the money. I think that, no, really, all kidding aside, I really don't know. Like I say, I think it's just a part of growing up with it. And you have a lot of people that depend on you. And a lot of time you don't have the chance to really take time to heal all your wounds like you'd like to. and so you just sort of make out the best you can. And NASCAR stresses safety first. There's a lot of other forms of racing that speed comes first, and if anything, when you go through a couple of wrecks like I've been through, especially the one at Daytona, it really makes you appreciate the sport, NASCAR safety program, and the cars that we race.
Ricky Rudd there, and our attrition update is, and I'm sure that Ronnie Bouchard and Phil Parsons, like those guys said, they'll be back. Bonnet, Parsons, Pond, Pearson, Means, and Marcus all out of the race today in the Miller 500. Labonte, Ellis, Dick Trickle, Don Paul, A.J. Foyt is out, so is Mike Waltrip. Rusty Wallace, Sterling Marlin, Kenny Reagan is out now. Ron Bouchard and Phil Parsons, which is the reason we're under caution right now, out of the race after that accident. You see Darrell Waltrip there, swooping and serving around as we look at the leaders. Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, Tim Richmond is at the tail end of the lead lap. Darrell Waltrip and Cale Yarborough are 1 lap down.
Well, this is another time to hope that everybody hit the right combination, and it keeps coming back this way. You got to keep proving yourself, and Harry Gant's going to have to prove all over again that I have the best car.
Let's go down now pit road. Jerry Punch.
We're in the old Milwaukee pits with crew chief Barry Dotson for the car number 27 of Tim Richmond, and Barry looking as the car's getting ready to go back to green. Tim's on the lead lap, but on the tail end. Can he hang on?
I don't know, Jerry. Depends on the tires. If you get lefts, the rights are worn out. If you get rights, the lefts are worn out. You know, we wish we didn't have the tire rules, so we don't know. We're going to do the best we can.
Tim Richmond trying to hang on when we go back to green.
As we get ready to go back to green, we'll talk more about that tire rule in just a moment, because it has had a big effect on these cars here today. 250 laps are complete in the Miller 500, and we're set to go back to green after our 4th caution flag of the day. And it's Tim Richmond and Darrell Waltrip who are keeping their cars now on the lead lap ahead of Harry Gant, who has passed Bill Elliott. And Waltrip and Richmond are racing side by side, but both those cars know that they have got to stay ahead of number 33, Harry Gant, to stay on the lead lap. And it's Harry Gant who's now coming down low on the racetrack. And it's Harry Gant who's had the muscle all day, who wants to put his car in front and now backs it off just a little bit as they're midway through turn 3, and now they head into turn 4. Waltrip and Richmond still on the lead lap, but it's Harry Gant who's your leader, and Bill Elliott is in 2nd place. Some good racing here, Johnny Hayes.
Yeah, and I think Bill Elliott probably made some changes because his car's coming up much better this time, where he was continually dropping back earlier. Harry Gant, he obviously has got to make his move here to get these top people back down a lap. And one of these guys, you know, if Harry can't get it done, he wants Bill to get it done, so they like it with 2 cars in the lead lap.
Harry Gant is going down low now. He's already put Richmond down, and now look at him just zip right by Darrell Waltrip at car number 11. And it's Harry Gant who is trying to put Waltrip a lap down, and they race side by side.
Well, that just shows you Darrell wants it that bad. It's critical. Here comes Cale Yarborough sticking up underneath him. This is it. This is when you can get your lap back. And everybody knows that when you're running bunched up like this, there's a good chance that you can have a caution back in the field, so you want to stay up front.
But Harry Gant out of Taylorsville, North Carolina, who has run so strong all afternoon long, has now put the rest of the field, other than Bill Elliott, a lap down. He has still got the same strength that he had before the caution flag, and Harry Gant just seemed to be able to blow by everybody else on this racetrack.
Well, I think Bill's still just as strong. Oh, Harry Gant just blew
up.
It's
true. Harry Gant has just blown a motor. Your leader, Harry Gant, has just blown a motor. A lot of applause from down here in the crowd, and there are some looks of shock on a lot of people's faces. Harry Gant, who has led more laps in this race than anybody else, has been the dominant car out here, has just blown a motor, and Harry Gant will have to go to the garage area. And this is so similar to the race at Darlington on Labor Day, when Harry Gant there was the strongest car all afternoon. Harry led 138 of the 253 laps here today before his car let loose in turn number 1. Let's go down now to Steve Martin.
We're down on pit road. Down on pit road in the Travis Carter Harry Gant pit. Harry Gant has blown an engine. There was no question about it. Travis Carter just motioned for everybody, stay behind the wall. The radio headsets came off. The 33 car now comes in, and it's to the garage area for Harry Gant.
Well, this will do a number of things. For one, it puts Bill Elliott, now Darrell Waltrip is also on the lead lap at the tail end, but Bill Elliott has a very comfortable lead now on the rest of the entire field here. And what a tough break that has to be for Harry Gant. Such a nice guy, but you know the frustration and disappointment that he is feeling inside after really having the best car here all week long. He qualified with a track record and was so very strong. As we see now, Bill Elliott, who is trying to put Darrell Waltrip a lap down in car number 9, and I'm sure that Bill Elliott's never glad when anybody goes out of a race, but now Bill Elliott knows that this is his race to win or lose.
Well, you see Cale jump right in there in the middle of them. You got 3 supercars here, and they're going for it. Bill, he's going to have his hands full all day, and I think you're going to see more than one car on this lead lap.
Let's go down now to our good friend pit reporter Jerry Punch, who's in the garage with Harry Gant.
Harry, an afternoon that you would say probably was one of the better runs you've had. You were nearly dominant the first half of the race, and then it comes all up in smoke. What do you have to say?
Well, you know, I got to give the crew credit. They really got this chassis working. That was the key today to who had the best chassis. And it proved, I think, that we did have the best one today, and it wasn't too hard to run out front. You know, it just started vibrating a little bit, cut off. One of those things, you win some, lose some gets rained out.
Harry, it's been a great month for you. 2 out of 4 wins coming back the pole here at Charlotte. Any thoughts about down the road? The team has really come together this past month and a half.
Yeah, we've worked, you know, really hard. Everybody has, trying to get the car to, you know, really dialed in, put good pit crew work and everything. So they've done a good job, and, you know, we've almost won a lot of races in a row, but maybe next year, you know, we come back and get it.
Well, the Skull Bandit Harry Gant hangs it up here at Charlotte Motor Speedway after dominating nearly 2/3 of the race. He is here in the garage area.
And Harry really was, that wasn't bragging, that was just fact. He was the dominant guy out there all day long.
He really was, and I think it shows the style he has. He's not really upset. I'm sure inside he feels real bad, but he ran super. He knew he ran super. He knows they've got the combination back on that race car, and they'll look forward to getting to Rocky Canyon.
The race you're seeing on the racetrack, it's Bill Elliott who is fighting to keep Cale Yarborough a lap down. We'll come back to some great racing in a moment. Right now, we'll break away for these messages from your...
Show us Ricky Rudd's blow-up.
And we're back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're under caution. Ricky Rudd has just blown a motor. And there was a tremendous race. Back to the flag. And Cale Yarborough and Jeff Bodine passed Bill Elliott. They are now on the lead lap as everybody is headed down pit road. What a break it is now for Cale Yarborough and Jeff Bodine. And I don't want to say it's a break, maybe, because they really made their break. They ran hard, they passed Elliott, and they beat him back to the yellow flag. And that means it's kind of evened all out now for Cale Yarborough. And for Jeff Bodine, who we haven't talked a lot about today, is now on the lead lap.
I'll tell you, that was exciting. And Cale Yarborough, the way he ran up under Bill Elliott and pushed him up, that opened the door for Bodine to be able to get by 2. It was great racing. Now we got 3 good cars back on the lead lap. Bill Elliott made a super pit stop, got back out quick, so we're ready to go.
Let's take a look now at this battle going for the lead lap. Here they come, coming into round turn 4. Look at Bodine in the yellow. And it is Cale Yarborough. Elliott is trying to keep him down, but he just cannot do it.
Well, they just made great moves. Cale moved him back as Bill started to jump back under him. Here comes Jeff, so there was no room.
What a break it was for Jeff Bodine, who now has to really feel good about things and his chances here today. Let's go down now to Steve Martin on pit road.
We're down in the Jeff Bodine pit with crew chief Harry Hyde. Harry, your man just unlapped himself. What are his thoughts right now as he's right back in the race again?
Oh, yeah, we've got 72 laps to go. And right now, we finally got some of the chassis work done on that car, and we think we can win the race right now.
A lot of engines have gone out today, and there's been some oil on the track. Does Jeff tell you what the situation is out on the track, what the condition of it is?
Yeah, he likes the thing. Of course, we've been running loose all day, and we've been trying to tighten the car up. And now it looks like we've got it tightened up. We can run with the leaders, and Jeff thinks right now he can win the race.
How's your gas mileage holding up? 72 laps from the finish. Will you have to bring him in again?
Well, he's on the radio right now telling me that everything is looking real good, and our gas mileage is good enough we can go nonstop the rest of the way.
Harry Hyde, as Jeff Bodine has just unlapped himself, he's in a good situation right now, sitting right behind Bill Elliott as we are under caution.
Well, I'll tell you, that mental attitude is 3/4 of the battle. Jeff Bodine really believes. Now, let's take a look at the reason we are under caution. Ricky Rudd, who had a tough day ever since he tangled up with Harry Gant on pit road and got his front bumper practically knocked off and has just not been running well ever since. And you see here all the smoke pouring out from the back end. Blown motor and a short day for Ricky Rudd, but maybe it wasn't a blown motor, maybe just something in the rear end, because the word might be that they might be trying to get him back in. Let's go down now to Jerry Punch.
Ricky Rudd here in the garage area, still sits in the motorcraft Ford. Ricky, they're working on the car. Can you tell us what brought you back into the garage area?
Well, we had trouble early in the race. We had one of the guys had gotten one of the studs messed up on a tire change. We were running with 4 lugs on the wheel, and it finally got the best of us. I guess the rest of the studs finally broke, and I barely grazed the wall. Didn't do too much damage that way, but it's going to take a good while to get all these studs changed back in that right front wheel.
Ricky, early in the race, you had a bump with Harry Gant in the pits as a crews were trying to motion Ricky. You and Gant got together. You pretty well heavily damaged the front of the car. How did that affect the handling of the car, the front end damage?
I'm not sure what you really said just then. You might have to repeat it, I guess.
How's the front end damage affect the handling of the car?
Well, it really hurt us all day when we tangled on pit road. The car was pretty competitive. We moved up to about 3rd in the beginning of the race. When the front end got knocked out of whack, it really hurt the aerodynamics, and we suffered all day. It hurt us about a half a second a lap.
Well, the motorcraft crew working here, they're trying to peel away the sheet metal in the rear of the car. They're trying to get the studs replaced in the right front tire. Heavy work going on here on this Ford Thunderbird out of the Budmore stable. Ricky Rudd will stay in the car. He wants to get back on the speedway.
Well, there's Darrell Waltrip on pit road, taking on fuel, trying to wait till the last possible second, because if they go green and stay green the rest of the way, Johnny Hayes, fuel is definitely going to be a story as we finish this race.
Well, Darrell has historically gotten good gas mileage, and he's topping off because for a roll of the dice, Fords seem not to get the same gas mileage that the Chevrolets and Pontiacs do, so that could be the difference, you know. May have to make another gas stop for Bill Elliott.
We're on lap 266. We'll run 334 here. You heard Harry Hyde down at the Jeff Bodine pit say, hey, Jeff Bodine is going to be able to go the whole way. He might not, he will not, definitely not have to come in for gas. We'll see. It's going to be an exciting finish here at Charlotte. We'll be back to the Miller 500. And now, Bill Elliott is beginning to pull away from Jeff Bodine, who is in second place. Cale Yarborough is third. Tim Richmond is fourth, 1 lap down. And Darrell Waltrip is fifth. He is also 1 lap down. Ricky Rudd will be back in this race. Now, Rick, as you see Rudd coming down pit road, the story will be this. There were 67 laps to go when we went to green. The longest Bill Elliott has gone between stops has been 66 laps. So they may chance it for a lap or so there, but it's going to be close if there is not another caution between now and the end of the race.
Oh, I can assure you he's going to try to go all the way. Bill's pulling away right now, so obviously he hit on a good combination, and it just goes to show you the strategies change, the whole complex deal changes on each pit stop.
And this was the time for Elliott. If he was ever going to get a good combination out there, now's the time for him to get it.
Oh, yeah, Bill, he's run good all day, but now he may sit there and say, okay, fellas, now it's time to show your hand because we don't have that long to go.
Jeff Bodine and Cale Yarborough running second and third. They are second and third in this line, but there's quite a bit of distance between them and the number 9 car of Bill Elliott, who on lap 272 is really showing some strength. If you're joining us late, we'll remind you that Harry Gant had the strongest car of the field all day today and has blown a motor. He is behind the wall in the garage, out of the action for the day. He was the pole sitter here in Charlotte. What's going through Elliott's mind right now? He has had so much trouble in the past couple of races. Is he just saying, hold on? Is he driving conservative? Is he just hanging in there? Is he really going for it right now?
No, he's going for it. He's not driving conservative. There's nobody on the racetrack in front of him, so he's run the line he wants to run. Everything's perfect for him. What's going through his mind is, I hope this baby will hold together.
Let's go down now to Steve Martin, who's standing by in the pits of Darrell Waltrip.
We're down in Darrell Waltrip's pit. Gas mileage is a key consideration that Johnny Hayes brought up. Darrell Waltrip usually gets good gas. Let's see what everybody's opinion is here. Junior, does he have enough gas to get in? Looks like Jeff Hammond is going to be the one to talk to at this moment. Does Darrell have enough gas to get him through the rest of the race?
I just don't know right now. We're just waiting to see how things go. We got a long ways to go yet.
Their man's still a lap down, trying to get that lap back, trying to figure out gas mileage and be in position should another caution flag fly.
Jeff Hammond didn't smile that time. When we asked him that question in the fall, I mean, in the spring race, he did smile, so we knew he could go all the way. So they're not having a whole lot of fun. I saw Junior pointing, hey, don't bother me, go get Jeff. So they're not having a real good time with it.
They're a lap down right now. They're running in 5th position. They are number 1 in the point standings, but the man that's trying to chase them, Bill Elliott, is leading this race, and he's leading it by a whole bunch right now, as he is increasing his margin over Cale Yarborough, who has now moved into 2nd place ahead of Jeff Bodine. With each lap that passes, Elliott is increasing his lead, and there is no traffic in front of him, so there is nobody for Elliott to get in trouble with, and he's not having to race anybody right now. There is Tim Richmond, who is running in the 5th position. Johnny, let's watch this replay. Coming out of turn 4, you will see Tim Richmond sliding right in front of Darrell Walter, but Darrell really has to do a good piece of driving to stay out of the back end there of Tim Richmond.
Well, like we talked earlier, coming out of 4, if you're going to have a problem with a loose race car, that's where you're going to have it. But you have to have a loose race car to run fast, so it's really a fine line.
There's a lot of driving skill involved in driving these race cars, especially when you start to get in trouble like that. That's what separates a lot of times the good race drivers from the average race drivers, because Darrell Walter at that time very easily could have gotten in trouble with Tim Richmond, but did a magnificent job in staying out of it.
Well, Darrell, he always drives way ahead of himself. He knows what's going on. He's watching closely. And Darrell, it really has to be a big mistake for him to get caught up in it, because he's a real smart race car driver.
Darrell Walter right now in 4th position, just ahead of Tim Richmond, who is 5th. Those two cars are both 1 lap down to the 3 that lead this race. Elliott, Yarborough. Now let's watch Tim Richmond cutting in front of Dale Earnhardt, as you see on the racetrack. Earnhardt is a lot of laps down, but watch this. Tim Richmond really loose out there.
Well, Richmond, he's so close to hitting the wall. Ooh, you know, if he doesn't slow up or get it straightened out a little bit, he's going to be hitting that 4th turn wall, so we can get ready for that.
Tim Richmond in 5th place right now. Elliott, Yarborough, and Bodine are 1, 2, and 3. And probably Bill Elliott and Cale and Jeff, all 3 believe that they're lucky right now to be ahead of Tim Richmond, because that could be a very, very dangerous situation here before too much longer.
Bill Elliott has it all going his way right now. He's just driving smoothly. Dale Earnhardt's coming into the pits. I don't know, this looks like just a routine tire stop.
Well, we were just under caution a few laps ago, so they're still making adjustments on the Earnhardt car and changing tires, perhaps got a bed set of tires on there. It has not been Dale's day. It has been a long day for him here in Charlotte. It happened when he got into the wall, and he's had problems all day long. Now let's go down to Jerry Punch on pit road.
We're in the Wrangler pits of Dale Earnhardt. They just brought the car in moments ago, and they were changing right side tires. We'll try to get a comment possibly from Kirk Shelmerdine, the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt. Kirk, what happened? Did Dale hit something out there?
The right front tire is flat, so he about had an episode like he did a while ago. Just cut it down this time.
Well, Earnhardt was able to keep it out of the wall, but he just about got into some little bit of bumper tag up there against the concrete wall, but he brought it in, right front tire down. They changed tires. He's down and away.
So Earnhardt is back out on the racetrack on lap 281, and the track is very, very strung out right now. Now, if you're Cale Yarborough and Jeff Bodine, you're seeing the strength that Bill Elliott shows out there. Does it get discouraging to be running as hard as you can and not be able to catch him, and to see a guy like car number 9 gaining on you?
Well, I think it's discouraging, but it appears to me that Cale's getting a little closer now, and Jeff, so they appear maybe, you know, that they could run him down, and maybe the tires are going away a little bit on Bill's car, so it looks like, you know, just sitting here watching, it looks like Cale's running him down a little bit now. And the crowd is starting to sense the anticipation of that, as Cale does indeed cut into Bill Elliott's margin. And Cale has a lot of fans here in Charlotte. The car is prepared here by Waddell Wilson, and he's running second right now. He's overcome a lot of bad breaks today. He's gotten down a lap twice, but he has hung in there, and just like the bulldog that he is, has fought back and got back on the lead lap, and now is running in second position and is gaining on car number 9, Bill Elliott. Let's take a look at Dale Earnhardt, whose car really still isn't right after he had got in the wall earlier today. You see Dale Earnhardt getting real loose. Look at the back end of that car. Don't you know Darrell gave plenty of room there? Darrell sitting there saying, that's just what I need.
Darrell got up as high on the racetrack as he could to try to avoid any trouble that he might be getting into there. There's Bobby Allison down on pit road. It has not been a good day for the Allison team. They have been out there all day, but just have not been running that well. And it's been a kind of tough season for Allison, who won the national championship just a couple of years ago, but now finds himself as an independent and really having it tough out there through the end of this season.
Well, that's been one of the tough deals for them, and I think they'll get back on their feet next year. It's so hard to put together a team that fast and that quick and be competitive.
Cale Yarborough, the former chicken farmer out of Timmonsville, South Carolina, is making some ground up as you see him coming pretty good through the corners there. And now it appears that Cale Yarborough is the one who is working through the corners as they come off that short chute and head down now the front straightaway. And he is indeed making some ground up on Bill Elliott.
Well, the Fords are running well. You have two Fords up front, and then the Chevrolets are coming after them. So it'll be an interesting race.
Cale Yarborough has won this race, the Miller 500, twice, once in 1973 and then again in 1979. He, of course, has been Grand National champion several times and is pretty much limited his schedule now to where he does not run the whole schedule. But when he's out there, he is very competitive, as he is showing you today. Let's take a look at the race summary. After 400 miles, there have been 16 lead changes. Again, just 6 drivers have led. 5 caution flags, 38 laps. The average speed has been 134.439 miles an hour. I'd say all in all, it's been a pretty good race today so far.
It really has been exciting. A lot of good cars falling out. We got trouble over in
turn 4. There is a car that has had heavy smoke coming out the rear end and is just sliding all over the racetrack down the front straightaway. It is Bobby Allison, who was just on pit road, and we were just talking about the problems he's had holding that car together and keeping things going. He left the Dygar team midway through this season, and since he went back to his shops in Hueytown, Alabama, to Bobby Allison Racing, just has not had a very good go of it at all.
Well, it really was scary coming out of turn number 4. It looked like he was in big trouble, looked like he'd blown an engine, but he obviously has some kind of tire problem.
Here's Cale Yarborough, who is now caught up with Bill Elliott, and Cale Yarborough's car is really working as they come off of turn 4 and head down the front straightaway. They are bumper to bumper, and Yarborough is going to make a run at the lead on lap 288. Elliott will try to fight him off as they head into turn 1. And Elliott works well through the corner and maintains about a half-car length advantage. But now on the back straightaway, down low on the racetrack, it's Yarborough who pulls up door handle to door handle with Bill Elliott. They're racing side by side down the back straightaway. And Elliott, as you see, puts his nose in front, and then Bill Elliott shuts the door on him and puts himself right back out there. But it's going to be Cale Yarborough as they come around again through turn 4. Yarborough, who will be your leader on lap number 289. Jeff Bodine also on the lead lap. He hangs back there in 3rd place, but Cale Yarborough leads this race, and what a story that is. He has worked hard to get there.
Well, he hadn't stopped working all day, and like I told you earlier, he is a bulldog. He will not quit, and he runs.
Jeff Bodine out of Chemung, New York, is in 3rd place. Now makes his home in Julian, North Carolina, just about an hour and a half up the road from here. So many of these drivers, when they get into the sport, move to North Carolina, which is really the center of Grand National stock car racing. But Jeff Bodine, who ran very well in the Sportsman race yesterday and finished 2nd in that race, is having a very good run here today in the Miller 500. 290 laps are completed, Charlotte. Cale Yarborough is your new leader. We'll return live to the Miller 500 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. As you see, Bobby Allison, who went behind the wall, has now got his car repaired and is coming back out onto the racetrack. Through 294 laps, let's take a look now at the attrition board. Neil Bonnet was the first car to go out as we show you our GM Goodwrench Performance Parts attrition board. Here's our attrition update. Neil Bonnet, Benny Parsons, Lenny Pond is out of the race. David Pearson, Jimmy Means, Dave Marcus, Labonte is out. Ellis, Trickle, Paul, Foyt, and Waltrip. Rusty Wallace, Sterling Marlin, Kenny Reagan, Ron Bouchard, Phil Parsons, Harry Gant blew a motor after leading most of this day. They are all out of the race at this moment. But Cale Yarborough has fought back. He has gone down a lap twice. He is your leader now. And let's go down now to Jerry Punch.
We're standing in the Bobby Allison pit with crew chief Wayne Bumgarner. Wayne Bumgarner has had the car behind the wall. What kind of repairs were made on Bobby's car, Wayne?
We had to replace the panhard bracket. It pulled the hyme joint out.
Is he going to be able to finish a race, you think?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, we'll let you get back over and get on the pit road. Bobby Allison back on the Speedway. That was the smoke from beneath the rear of the car. Part of the rear end fluid had leaked out, the smoke boiling out. It was not an engine that let go. Allison back on the Speedway, should be able to finish.
Well, that's good news for the Bobby Allison fans that Allison is able to get back out onto the race. Cale Yarborough is your leader. You see there the distance between Cale Yarborough and car number 9, Bill Elliott. That's first and second place. The only other car on the lead lap is Jeff Bodine in car number 5. Now, if you're Cale Yarborough, you finally got that lead that you worked for all day long. What's going through your mind?
Well, I think Cale's sitting there saying, okay, don't heat these tires up too much. Find your line, get around smooth. I'm sure Bill Elliott's thinking the same thing. Hey, let's just ride along here. Let's don't use my tires up. I'm going to need them for that last run. So I think you're going to see them ride basically like they're riding unless a caution comes out, and I expect them to try to make their move with probably about 10 laps to go.
So you're saying Bill Elliott, who we just saw look down in his pits, he's going to hang there about a second or so behind Cale Yarborough. He's content to run in second place for a while.
Oh, I think so, and I also think if Cale starts pulling off from him, then Bill has a problem and can't run with him. But as long as they keep running like they are and Bill Elliott's just about a second behind him watching, I think Bill Elliott's taking care of his car and tires. He's going to try to make his move.
Well, Bill Elliott running in second place. Is he trying to conserve gas?
Yes, I think so, because it's going to be close for him, and I'm sure it's going to be close for Cale. So they had to be thinking about all of these things.
Well, Cale Yarborough has gone the shortest time between pit stops, 64 laps. And we'll remind you that when that last caution flag went to green, we had 67 laps left. So it is going to be close for everybody. 299 laps are on the board. We run 334, so we have 35 laps left to go here in the Miller 500 as you get a look at Waddell Wilson, who is the crew chief on the Cale Yarborough machine number 28.
I can't tell you how much Waddell Wilson wants to win this race. They've had a tough year. They've had problems. They've fallen out. This is Waddell's hometown. He lives up on Lake Norman. He's one of the good old boys that lives up there with us, and we all brag around the lake who the best racers are, and I think Waddell wants to brag next week that he did it.
We have run 450 miles, 50 miles left in the Miller 500. Let's go down to Jerry Punch, who is in the Cale Yarborough pit.
We're standing behind Waddell Wilson, who's on pit road with us. And Waddell, I guess the big question now is, can you make it the rest of the way on fuel?
No, we'll have to stop. We can only go about 61 or 2 laps, and when we pitted, there was 69 laps left.
So now I guess the theory is maybe hope for a caution, hope you can stay out there, or is he going to try to just move away a little bit and hope you can get in and out for gas only?
I didn't understand what you said, but anyway, I don't think anyone can go the distance, and we'll just have to go down to what we feel's right and then just stop the race car.
Well, that's Waddell Wilson. We'll go down the pit road on Steve Martin to see if another team can make it the distance.
We're with Dan Elliott, Bill Elliott's brother in the Elliott pit, the number 9 Thunderbird. And Dan, big question now is the gas mileage situation. Do you have enough to finish?
I don't know yet. We're still trying to get fuel mileage computed, and this is the kind of point in the race where you can't really plan. You just got to let the chips fall where they may, and we're just going to ride it on out here and see what happens.
In the meantime, wouldn't it be a good idea, I guess, to stay behind Cale? Is that what you'd like to get him to do, maybe to conserve some gas?
Yeah, that would be the best thing right now. Try to conserve a little.
Dan Elliott with the word on the Bill Elliott car, the number 9 car, trying to track down Cale Yarborough. They're both figuring gas mileage feverishly here in the pits.
We've had three interesting stories down there on pit road. First of all, Cale Yarborough's crew chief said, no way we can make it the rest of the race. You just heard Bill Elliott's crew say, maybe. But we heard Harry Hyde, and Jeff Bodine's car says he can go the whole distance.
Yeah, and that
may be the story.
I believe it is, and I believe Bill Elliott will go all the way, and that'll be tough for Cale. But, you know, there's always a possibility a caution's going to come out, and we'll just have to play this one by ear.
303 laps are complete. Again, we run 334 here. They make up the Miller 500. And there are 3 cars who are in contention to win it today. Cale Yarborough, Bill Elliott, and Jeff Bodine. Darrell Waltrip is hanging tough. And this is important for Darrell, because if they finish the way they stand right now, Darrell Waltrip would still be the leader in the NASCAR points race.
Oh, that'd be a big thing. You know, Darrell, if he can keep these points leads, he feels like hey, everything worked out this week, and I feel like in his own mind, Darrell feel like he won the race if he goes out of here still that close in points.
Well, if they stay like they are, Darrell will go to Rockingham in 2 weeks with a 20-point lead over Bill Elliott, and that would have to be at least a moral victory for him here today, because Elliott has certainly shown that, hey, he's back. Let's go down now to Steve Martin.
Caution.
Caution is on the racetrack. Caution is on the racetrack as I believe Davey Allison has had a problem. Davey Allison in car number 1, who is driving his second race for Hoss Ellington, and this is what everyone was waiting for. There will now be no questions.
NASCAR officials are telling us that there's oil up in turn 2. So they're going to get that straightened out. And this is great, because I'm glad it didn't have to come down to one of these strategy deals. Now we can go out and race hard for this thing. One thing I would like to say about Jeff Bodine is he's had a heck of a day in his Rick Hendricks car.
Darrell Waltrip is staying out of the racetrack to try and get his lap back. He is not going to come in. Bodine and Elliott are down on pit road. Davey Allison has taken his number 1 machine behind the wall to the garage. He was the one that dumped the oil on the racetrack. Cale also on pit road, and Cale is down and away. All 3 drivers are back out on the racetrack, and everybody now has enough fuel and at least fresh right or left side tires and are able to complete this race. Let's go down to Steve Martin.
Okay. This will bunch the field up even closer together. A lot of scurrying around in the Jeff Bodine pit. They've been running solidly all day, trying to catch up with the leaders. Seem to be now just doing that at this moment. Now, with the caution, it'll bring the field a lot closer together. And now Jeff Bodine will be able to see just what he has to be able to catch Cale Yarborough and Bill Elliott. As far as the gas mileage is concerned, he was right on the money. Could have finished the race without another gas stop. But now, everybody's got equal gas, and we'll see some racing from here on out.
Jeff Bodine was the first driver out of the pits, and Jeff Bodine is the leader. Jeff Bodine out of Chemung, New York. And that's got to be quite a big thing for him.
This is great. Cale and Jeff are disagreeing on who beat who to the line. Jeff goes by Cale. Cale jumps right back by him. So we're going to have a little discussion on pit road who's really leading this race. Jeff thinks he is. Cale thinks he is.
Well, I'm sure NASCAR will straighten it out and radio down to the crew chiefs who should be in front. But there is a disagreement between the number 5 car of Jeff Bodine and the number 28 car of Cale Yarborough. Bill Elliott will be 3rd. We have just gotten word that it will be Cale Yarborough, car 28, who will be the leader restarting this race. They're down on pit road. You see the debris. It's been a long day down there on pit road for a number of cars. Tire changes all around, a full tank of fuel, and there's no question at all about fuel, so we don't have to worry about Cale Yarborough. And that was really a break for Cale Yarborough, because as we heard from Waddell Wilson, he was going to have to come in. Darrell Waltrip did not get his lap back, so there are only 3 cars on the lead lap. Yarborough, Bodine, and Elliott, and that's the way they'll restart this race. Now, what's your strategy? Bunched up together in a caution flag, getting ready to go green. You know you got the fuel. You know you got some fresh tires. Does everybody show what they have right now?
You bet. This is the time, because you don't want to get messed up in the traffic on the jump, and you're going to race hard, and I'll guarantee you Cale Yarborough is going to really go with them. We got 1 lap to go. We're about ready to find out how this thing's going to turn out.
Well, the track is dried out. 309 laps are on the board. 334 are run here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway to make up the Miller 500. And it will be a dash to the finish for sure. Will it be Yarborough? Will it be Bodine? Will it be Elliott? Johnny Hayes, any predictions? Any ideas as to who would be the strongest car out there at the moment?
I got to believe that it's Bill Elliott, but Cale Yarborough I'd never bet against.
Here are race leaders in the Miller 500. Harry Gant led for 138 laps. Tim Richmond led for 33. Bill Elliott's led for 112. Cale Yarborough for 23. And Yarborough's in front right now. Darrell Waltrip has led for 2 laps and Terry Labonte for 1. They're going to go green this time around.
Jeff Bodine has not won a race this year. He's run good. He has not won a race this year. This could be the break he needs.
Jeff Bodine has had a good season, and he's hoping for a lot of good things to happen to him. He's had 8 top 5 finishes, 11 times in the top 10. He has won 3 races in his career. His best race in 1985 was at North Wilkesboro, where he finished 2nd. And now the pace car takes the left turn down onto pit road, and the cars bunch up together. They're coming. Boy, are we going to see some racing here. As they wind up to speed, Harold Kinder waves the green flag, and it's Jeff Bodine who's going to go low on Cale Yarborough and try to take the lead away from him as they go into turn 1. Bodine is going to show some muscle right here and move his car into the lead for the first time today. Cale drops back to 2nd, and Bill Elliott is high on the racetrack. He is not running that well at all, as Bill Elliott is caught back a bit in traffic. Greg Sachs and Darrell Waltrip, 2 lapped cars, are ahead of him. And now Elliott drops down low, and Elliott just doesn't seem to have the strength that he had a few moments ago.
Well, Darrell jumped right in front of him on that restart, kicked him sideways a little bit, so I wouldn't count him out yet. I think it was just, he just didn't get a good start. Cale Yarborough went straight to the front. Bodine took Cale took it right back from him, so we'll just have to watch.
It is Yarborough and Bodine who are fighting for the lead here on lap 311. And it's Yarborough who opens up about a car length and a half advantage over Jeff Bodine.
Just by the way, Greg Sachs is right there in 5th place. We hadn't called his name much today, but he sure made a comeback.
Greg Sachs is one of those drivers. A lot of rumors say he's going to lose the ride he had, and he got the ride by winning the Firecracker 400 back in July in the Dyngard Research and Development car. And when Bobby Allison got out of the main ride, they put Greg Sachs from Matatuck, New York, inside the car, and he's had a tough season since then. But it's Yarborough, Bodine, Elliott, Waltrip, and Greg Sachs is a lap down. But the Dyngard car is prepared here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I know they wanted to make a good showing for that team here today.
Sure, and it'll be interesting to watch this race right now between Darrell Waltrip. He's right in front of Bill Elliott, and it'll be interesting to see if he holds Bill back or Bill's able to get under him and go around. This is going to be fun, so y'all just watch.
Well, now Elliott goes low on the racetrack. He's going to try to take Waltrip now as they head into turn 1 and come around to turn 2. But Darrell Waltrip is a little bit stronger through the corner, and Elliott is not able to catch up with him as they head now down the back straightaway. There's the number 1 and number 2 cars for the NASCAR Championship this year. As we've said so many times today, Waltrip leads Elliott by 30 points. But it's Elliott who's on the lead lap, and Darrell Waltrip is a lap down. Just 1 position separates them. That's 3rd and 4th.
Darrell went through turn 1 very high, gave Bill all the room in the world. There goes Bill jumping under him again, but Darrell's strong enough to pull him.
Darrell gets into turn 2. He really has some strength, and Elliott is not able to overtake him at all. And Cale Yarborough has seemed to be opening up a lead now on Jeff Bodine. Cale Yarborough is running very, very strong on the racetrack as he heads through turn 3 and comes down to turn 4. Yarborough seeming determined to win this race here in Charlotte today.
Jeff has seemed to slow down a little bit, and that slowed Waltrip down and let Elliott get by. If Elliott gets by here, then we'll get to see how they're going to run for the finish.
So now Elliott sets his sights on Jeff Bodine. Darrell Waltrip is 1 lap down. It is really not a factor at this point other than the fact that he's involved in the traffic there that you see. That's the man everybody's trying to chase down, Cale Yarborough, and you see the anxious anticipation in the Yarborough pits.
You can see Darrell really strong through 1 and 2. Bill can jump up under him, and then Darrell just pulls off from him coming off at number 2. He's running a much higher line and just can pull away from him.
316 laps are now complete. Yarborough is still the leader. Bill Elliott is not able to gain any ground at all. And Jeff Bodine seems to be slowing down just a bit. Waltrip is strong, but it's not going to be strong enough perhaps to win today here in Charlotte. Now Elliott goes low, and he tries to take Waltrip again, and he just cannot get through the corners as well as Darrell Waltrip. Now Elliott is going to pull up alongside him. You see Bill Elliott trying to take on Darrell Waltrip, and he's just not able to get the number 9 car by.
All this tight racing's letting Cale just pull off, and Cale hopes that they run door to door the rest of the way, and he'll congratulate him.
Cale Yarborough out of Pimmonsville, South Carolina. Cut back his racing schedule a lot, but he still enjoys getting out here on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, he loves it.
Here's our leaderboard. Cale Yarborough, Jeff Bodine, and Bill Elliott, who are on the lead lap. Darrell Waltrip is a lap down, and Greg Sachs in car number 77, also a lap down. But now Joe Ruttman in car number 4 has passed Sachs, and Ruttman is now listed in the number 5 position. We haven't talked much about Joe Ruttman today, but that's another guy that's had just the toughest of seasons. Ruttman from Upland, California. And Joe Ruttman with a tough season. You see there the difference between he and Sachs. He has passed Sachs. And there's a lot of talk that Joe Ruttman will not be in that car next season.
Yeah, that's been a tremendous rumor. I heard possibly that he could even be in a second car on a 2-car team with Dygaard Racing. So Ruttman's trying as hard as he can to prove, hey, I can get the job done. But they've run awfully good today.
Joe Ruttman, a proven driver out of California, has driven a very steady race today and is now in the number 5 position. But it's Cale Yarborough, the leader. Some 10 car lengths now over Jeff Bodine. Darrell Waltrip tucked in behind Bodine. But Waltrip, again, as we've said, is a lap down. Look who's up there mixing it up with them. Is Dale Earnhardt, and he is over 35 laps down now behind the leader.
Well, Dale, I'm sure he's sitting there and say, hey, well, I'm out here to race, buddy, and I'm going to race you no matter how far I'm down. So if you're going to beat them, you got to beat everybody on the racetrack. But I tell you, Bill would have made his move. He's tried everything in the way. This thing's winding down, so I think Bill has a little bit of a problem. You can see Darrell just pull away from him right there, and Cale Yarborough looks right now that he has it covered.
14 laps are remaining in the Miller 500. Cale Yarborough is the leader, and you see Dale Earnhardt there at the back of the pack. He is way down, spent a lot of time behind the wall today, but he's out there racing with them nonetheless. You see Jeff Bodine in car number 5, followed by car 11. That's Darrell Waltrip. Bodine is in second place. He's doing the best he can to run down Cale Yarborough. Darrell Waltrip now goes high on the racetrack, and he's going to try to get by Bodine, but he can't do it. Takes a look and couldn't do it. There's Cale Yarborough. I've talked to Cale before about what he thinks about it. The final laps of a race, he says he just sits there and drives as hard as he can and thinks about each corner coming up in front of him.
Cale, he's such a tough competitor, and his car holds together. He's going to win this race, I believe.
Cale Yarborough now with a comfortable advantage as we have completed 322 laps here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Yarborough, 45 years of age. His car owned by Harry Ranier. It's prepared here in Charlotte, North Carolina by the man you see there, Wendell Wilson, and there's Cale Yarborough.
Also, Mr. J.T. Lundy owns half of that car, and he loves stock car racing. He owns Calumet Farms and big in horse racing, but he loves his car racing just as much. Boy, this would make Mr. Ranier and Mr. Lundy, because they're both down here, and they've gone through a tough year. They just agreed for next year, and so that, boy, you talking about a way to kick off. This will make this year look real good for them.
All right, what's the strategy now? If you're Bill Elliott, obviously you've just got to put the pedal to the metal and run as hard as you can.
Well, if I'm Bill Elliott, I'm really worried. We've got 10 laps to go. Darrell Waltrip's got by Jeff Bodine. Bill Elliott wants to buy him real bad, but Cale, with all this going on, Cale's pulling right off from him. So right now it's looking like Cale Yarborough has it covered.
What about Jeff Bodine? Such a tough season for him. He hasn't won a race yet. He has been there so many times. I know that if he could possibly do it, he'd like to get up there close to Cale Yarborough.
Oh, absolutely. Jeff would just give anything to be up there, and they're not going to count anything out. Strange things happen in stock car racing, and you don't know until that checkered flag falls. So he's going to run as hard as he can, because he knows he can't catch Cale right now. But if Cale has a problem, he's got Bill Elliott right on his bumper, and that would be the race for the win.
We have under 10 laps to go. 325 laps are complete. We run to 334, 500 miles. Cale Yarborough, a driver who got down a lap early when he had a tire problem. He got down a lap again and has fought back both times to make them up. Cale Yarborough's last win at the Charlotte in the Miller 500, 1979. It was his second victory in the Miller 500. The last time he won before that was in 1973. He has one win already in this season, 1985. That came at Talladega in the Talladega 500. And a problem on the Greg Sachs car as he slows down a great deal. Looked like a wheel may have locked up on him, and Greg Sachs, running so well today, has slowed down here, and a puff of smoke coming out I don't see the caution flag. He is very, very high on the racetrack. Almost came into the wall. He is having problems holding that car together.
Oh, I'm telling you, Kel and his crew are hoping and praying that caution doesn't come out.
The Greg Sachs machine, car number 77, definitely in trouble. And Sachs will pull it around and pull it down on pit road. There is no caution on the racetrack. There is the pit of Cale Yarborough. Boy, are they tense and anxious. It has not been a great season for but Cale Yarborough and car number 28, as you see, 7 laps to go.
A win here could make it a real good season, because a win at Charlotte, a win at Daytona, places like that just make your year. And you know that you're getting strong. You've got your problem solved on these super speedways, and you just can't wait to get to Atlanta and Daytona next year.
Speaking of problems, Cale Yarborough in the spring race at this track, the World 600, finished 40. So that would be quite a change from one race in Charlotte to the next. He finished 40th here in the spring, and he'd love nothing better than to show, hey, I can do it in Charlotte, and I'm going to do it today. Cale Yarborough is your leader on lap 328. Again, 334 will complete the Miller 500, as you see Bodine and Elliott, the only other 2 cars with a chance to get it.
And what's wonderful, Bill Elliott's running 3rd. Guess who's running 4th?
Darrell Waltrip, car number 11.
So stock car racing, it's not going to be settled until the very last race. It's going to depend on racing luck.
It will go down to Riverside, the final race of the year, this NASCAR Points Championship in 1985, as Bill Elliott will, in all probability, not overtake Darrell Waltrip today. He will cut into the lead just a little bit, certainly not by much. Yarborough the leader by about a second now over Darrell Waltrip. So Darrell Waltrip's in 4th place, a second on the racetrack, and it's a couple seconds back now to Jeff Bodine and to Bill Elliott.
Bill Elliott just jumped under Bodine for 2nd place, and I don't know, it just seems like they're closing a little bit. You can see Darrell has run Cale down, and anything can happen. The tires could be going away a little bit. You know how fast you can close here in a couple laps.
There are 4 laps left to go, and Bill Elliott has just passed Jeff Bodine for 2nd place. Could this be the time that Bill Elliott has said, hey, I'm going to make my move, and I'm going to make it now? Yarborough is the leader, but he's got to be worried about the number 9 Ford of Bill Elliott, which is closing in on him at lap 331. 3 laps left. Harold Kinder holds out 3 fingers. And it's Yarborough still the leader.
I tell you, Bill Elliott does have a shot. He's closing. Now, what will Darrell Waltrip play in this role? See here, they're closing right up on him. What will Darrell Waltrip do in this situation? Will he hold Bill back, or will he let him go?
We'll see in just a moment, as Elliott indeed is closing in on Cale Yarborough. 2 laps left to go now as Yarborough heads it into turn 1. Elliott is pushing that car to the limit to try to catch up with him. Darrell Waltrip is in between them, but he is a lap down. He is running in the number 4 spot in this race.
We're on the white flag lap. Cale, I think he found out, hey, he's closing on me a little bit. Cale pulled the distance a little more. I think Cale's going to be able to hold him off.
White flag lap. White flag will come out on this lap, and Cale Yarborough will take it with 1 to go. There is 1 lap left to go in the Miller 500, and Yarborough will take it into turn 1. He is running for the win here. Bill Elliott will give it everything he's got to catch up to him. Now, Yarborough heads it into turn 2. He's on the back straightaway. He can smell the wind right now here in the Miller 500. This crowd is on its feet as Yarborough is now down through the back straightaway. He's entered into turn 3. There's Elliott. It looks like he's not going to be able to catch him as Yarborough now comes around down through turn 4. Jeff Bodine will be running in 3rd place. Yarborough on the front straightaway, and Cale Yarborough takes the checkered flag, and Cale Yarborough has won the Miller 500 here in Charlotte. Bill Elliott is 2nd, and Jeff Bodine is 3rd.
I'll tell you what, they're going crazy down in the Hardy pit. Waddell Wilson owes me dinner, because every time they win, he has to buy my food, so I am tickled to death for him.
And it was a great day for the bulldog of stock car racing from Tillmansville, South Carolina, Cale Yarborough. Yarborough, who got down a lap to the field twice, but fought hard, never gave up, and came back to win. Cale Yarborough, your winner in the Miller 500.
Boy, I'm tickled to death for Mr. Rainier and Mr. Lundy, too. They spent a lot of money. They've worked hard. They stuck by them. Waddell Wilson, this is a great, great victory, and I'm just tickled to death for them.
Here are the top 6 cars. Cale Yarborough, Bill Elliott, Jeff Bodine, Darrell Waltrip, Joe Rutman, and Tim Richmond, 1 through 6, as you see car number 28 making its way now and taking the left turn and will be heading into victory lane. Cale Yarborough, Bill Elliott, Jeff Bodine, Darrell Waltrip, and Joe Rutman, your top 5 on what Johnny Hayes has been a great day and a great race here in Charlotte.
Oh, it's been fun, and I'll tell you, I really thought Elliott had them covered, but when it came down to it, Cale got the job done, and that is neat.
It has indeed been a great day, and our congratulations to Cale Yarborough, who won. Bill Elliott tried to run him down, just couldn't do it. Here, our general manager is Bailey Dwiggins, our pit producer Quake Lestar, director is Billy McCoy, associate director is Alicia Kapligan. They put that name to me at the end of the race, and that would get me in trouble, Johnny. I just want to tell you it's been a fun day, and I've enjoyed working with you.
Oh, I loved it. It has been fun for me, too, and I hope we can get to do it again sometime.
Cale Yarborough certainly gave us all a thrill today, as he really showed what you can do when you stick to it. Just don't give up and just keep hanging in there.
Well, Cale's tough. Like I told you earlier, everybody on pit road respects Cale, and they know if the car's there, he's going to be tough, and I'm really tickled for Waddell.
Well, for our pit road reporters, Steve Martin and Jerry Punch, and for Johnny
And they're
Hayes.
celebrating the birthday of France's gift to the U.S. And it all ties together, for as the torch of Miss Liberty was being raised in New York, it was the French again who lit the fire of the automobile craze with a steam engine. Quickly, those who moved from one place to another by car became a curiosity, and sometimes a hazard. It didn't take long for someone to say, mine is faster than yours, as names like Ford and Chevrolet became household words, as did something known as traffic, and something else called horsepower. A century later, each of these stock cars has an equine battalion of 600 under their gleaming hood. 42 cars, 250,000 horsepower rumbling to life down pit road at the Daytona International Speedway to light the fuse for NASCAR's annual Firecracker 400. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Al Troutwig in Daytona Beach, along with our master of daring do, Sam Posey. I think the biggest difference in our annual visit to Daytona in July is